Since we got about 45 seconds, I'll go ahead. We'll go ahead and get this the introduction part of it started. Thank you, everyone, for coming out this evening. I asked Dr. Young a couple of weeks ago if he can gather his team. I appreciate that. Gather his team to talk about the sports culture as far as it pertains to sponsorships. About a year ago, Mr. Paddock and I was at the open house in Pike, and he informed me about the program was in its beginning stages. I think that, are we due for another open house at the high school?
The high school is coming.
Right, about around this time. So it's about a year ago. So he had told me that, I didn't ask him too many details about it back last year. He said he's going to roll it out here in springtime or late summer. So today, we're going to see what that program is, and we can get our questions in that we need to know, and how can we make it better, what we can do to assist it. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know everyone in here knows everyone, but I'll still introduce them. So to present tonight, we have Mr. David Paddock, also Mrs. Kendra Champion-Macklin. They are our co-ADs at Pike High School. I believe most of you know also Mr. St. Jacob, Director of Wellness, but he also serves as a district liaison when it comes to athletics in Pike Township. And then also Mr. Wally, who didn't expect to be here. He had another event, but it let out enough time for him to join us as well. So he'll also contribute to the conversations as well. But for now, I turn it over to Mrs. Champion-Macklin and Mr. David Paddock. Thank you.
Again, David Paddock, for those who don't know. I've had the honor of serving our community for 12 years now. I'm super excited about all the things we've done to grow. Dr. Young gave us a list of items outside of sponsorship that you had questions surrounding, and so it's our intent tonight to kind of share where we're at with those items, and hopes to grow together and make sure we're all heading in the same directions and providing the best possible experience for our student athletes. I know a lot of people always ask what do athletic directors do, so we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. So again, thank you for having us, and we're looking forward to sharing a little bit of what we do and answer your questions.
All right, as Dr. Young said, Kendra Champion-Macklin, been in the district for a long time. Just saw the newborn baby of a girl I taught years ago, so feeling a little bit old, but still excited to be here and share with you all of the awesome things that we get to do. Starting off, we thought we would include our mission statement here. Just because this is really the basis for all that we do, and we do a lot. Providing students the opportunity for mental, physical, and emotional growth. And what people ask us often what we do, and my response almost 100% of the time is our goal is to create great experiences for students. Those students who have chosen to become athletes. So grow mentally, physically, and emotionally through a well-developed athletic program. And then we'll talk a little bit this evening about our articulation, which is our relationship and what we do with our 3 middle schools, the high schools, and even all of our elementary schools. So as we talk this evening, we're going to talk about several things to try to get all of your questions answered, but this is where kind of our mission lies. And I do think everybody has, Dr. Young may be passing out copies of this so you have a little bit closer version.
So again, this is an overview of everything we will be going over tonight. I think we're going to go ahead and start off with sponsorship, so if you have any questions along the way. The sponsorship piece has been, I think, 3 years in the making, conversations. We started with our
Strategic plan.
Started with our strategic plan. I think that might have been about 4 years ago, and it's evolved quite a bit. Like anything else that we've done, you kind of plant a seed and you water it and see how it grows. And I think we're in a spot now where we're really about to take off. I know President Anderson talked about, I think it was last year at open house. We were finishing up the proposal to present just for some feedback from the district. Last January, we officially rolled it out to our coaches, so to speak, to kind of get their buy-in. And there's two phases to the sponsorship program. Executive summary. When we sat down, there was lots of talk. Right, we've got coaches that have friends in this industry, parents, teachers, all over the place. It was very important to us in the district not to loiter all of our areas with just signs anywhere we could find. There were some other things that we also talked about, which was forging sustainable community partnerships. We've heard of stories of athletic directors, coaches, staff members talking to one dealership, offering them a package for X amount of dollars, going to another dealership and offering the same package for a different amount of dollars. It was almost like a what can I get and where can I get it. Experience taught us, listening to other schools, that might sever some relationships in the district. So we wanted to make sure that we put something together that we thought was sustainable and helped us build great relationships with the people and industries in our community.
Mr. Paddock, a question here.
Yeah.
Before you get too far away from it. So the rollout with the coaches, and we were talking, can you speak a little bit more to what was that like? Was it like a think tank, or was it like meetings, or how did you get the coaches buy-in on this?
So the first go round, I want to say it was late February, when we sent an email out. Right, we didn't know what to expect. We sent an email out to the coaches, and 120 people show up in a room. We weren't sure what to expect. So we sent it out to our coaches to gain buy-in and how to share with them how this benefits them. And we include the middle schools. So this is a K through 12, really a middle school through 12 experience that we're trying to create. We asked them, the coaches, to show up to the meeting. I want to say it was pretty well attended. Probably 80% of them showed up. Some of them working, coaching throughout that time. And it was just to kind of share the same thing we're sharing with you guys today. Gaining their feedback, what we don't want is we don't want our coaches to feel like they have to go and, I guess, secure the actual funds themselves. Some people are really good at it, some are not, but we didn't want to put the pressure on them. What we wanted them to do is just to be a part of it and introduce us to the right people, right? How far can our hands reach? And they can reach a lot farther through all of our coaches, assistant coaches, head coaches. So the original meeting included the head coaches, just to kind of start from there.
Okay.
The overall goal, right, is to raise money so that we can provide an experience for students, and there's that money can go towards all kinds of things. Provide premier resources, opportunities, and experiences to nurture the athletic and personal growth of our student athletes, right? Everybody wants a field house, everybody wants team gear, there's all kinds of things when it comes to athletics, and so that's something we balance quite a bit. So we're looking for some capacity in how we do that. The annual fundraising, we'll get into that a little bit later. There was a lot of talk about that when we sat down in our committee. How much can we raise? Oh, 200,000, 20,000, 50. The consensus we came to is we don't know what we can do. We've heard of districts solidifying deals with dealerships year one, $50,000 to start. So there's a lot of different opportunities, and we didn't want to limit ourselves, and we also didn't want to put ourselves in a position to where we felt we weren't achieving anything. The goal every year, as we walked out, was how do we beat what we did last year? The mission statement of what we did, as far as what we put together, the mission of the MSD Pike Township Athletics Community Sponsorship Program is to equip our student athletes with premier resources and opportunities, nurturing both their athletic prowess and personal growth. To the left, this is a slick that we put together, a marketing piece for the coaches and really anybody else. We're going to show you where you can find it on our website. So again, the goal long-term is anybody can advocate for Pike Township.
One more question, Mr. Paddock.
Yes.
So you said the goal is to beat what we did last year, correct?
Correct.
Is there a measurement on what we did last year?
0.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
0 meaning no funding raised?
So
So I think what you were talking about, Mr. Paddock, was once we do the campaign.
once we do the campaign,
So there hasn't been a campaign yet.
it's been a soft rollout.
Right. So after we have a campaign, then we have a baseline of, okay, here's what we did our first campaign. And then from there, let's see if we can do better the next year.
Okay.
Like we couldn't say for this first campaign, let's get 10 million, or we didn't know what that amount would look like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we haven't had the first.
We haven't had the campaign.
Okay, that makes,
Yes.
okay, thank you. You had a year to plan the campaign that you haven't had yet.
You said a year to plan the campaign these discussions have been going on, for quite some time, yeah.
Yeah, we made the initial proposal I want to say it was at the end of the year, so sometime in December, I can't remember the date.
Yeah.
And then from there, the conversation was we need to make our coaches aware, because we need
12
everyone's
years,
help.
being here in 12 years, this is your first campaign.
This
Correct, this is the first time, so this was
12 years, this is your first campaign?
yes.
Okay.
So to find this, if you're out and about with your friends, family, talking to coaches, if anyone's curious on what it is we're looking to accomplish, we've got the slick that's out in front of you. If you go to our website, pikehsathletics.com, you can drop down to other info, and then down to sponsorships, partner with Pike. And that's the information. We want to make it that easy for anybody just to initiate a conversation. What we know is we've got coaches and family members that come to us all the time just asking how can we partner with Pike Township. Yes.
This is already live?
Yes. Yes, this has been alive for some time now.
Question. So, has Coach Teague give too much input on sponsorship? The reason why I asked the question is because I remember when he, and Dr. Young and myself sat in Dr. Young's office when we were interviewing him, and he stated that he had Adonis, for one, his name came up right off the bat, and said, and then I think someone from the Boston Celtics, I forgot who that was, but anyway, he said these are NBA players that were right off the bat ready to make sponsorships for Pike. You recall that, Dr. Young?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering how much input has he had in this?
We pitched this out to the coaches in February, and that was in the middle of the season.
Okay.
I don't even recall if he was at the meeting.
Okay. So that might be a circle back too on something such as this to see if we can get the NBA sponsorship.
Absolutely.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
And to be clear, my understanding of the vision was we wanted to plant all the information into our coaches. So they
Well, he is a
understood.
coach, that's why I said that.
Yeah, and the idea long-term, again, in the beginning, was that they could start having those conversations now, so that when the campaign kicks off, we're ready to go. The idea is, and you'll see, right, if we campaign from February till May or June, we've got 1 month, July, to get ready for the season of the fall. And the goal is that when we partner with a dealership, we partner with them for the year. We do have the opportunity to pick up people along the way throughout the year. But the idea of the campaign and the kickoff is that game 1 in fall, we are partnering with all of our partners for the entire school year. And then we'll do it again the following spring, a new campaign for the following school year. We'll accept money along the way, and we'll have those conversations. But the idea is the concentrated effort, right? If we just ask a couple people, throw out some information, maybe that information gets around. But if we got everybody going at it at the same time, it creates a little more buzz. And that's
How many
the
partners do you have right now? You've been here 12 years, you don't have a partner now?
So this strategic plan was just approved last fall.
You've been here 12 years, this is your first strategic plan, and you have no resources from partnership now.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
One question, when did this roll out? I said, Nicole asked if this was live. When did this go live on the website?
I believe the summer, or
This past December.
no, I'm sorry, the summer. I'm
Oh,
trying to remember if it was
the summer.
late spring, early summer.
have to
This, yeah,
look.
25.
Okay.
My question. So you said you don't believe that, you're not sure if Coach T was even at the rollout. Have you circled back to him to ask him about his potential sponsorships? Have you addressed him?
We shared this at the coaches in service this past July. So the other piece of it is we will be sharing this with all of our parents, students, and coaches at the preseason meetings. So
That's not what I asked you, Mr.
Okay.
Paddock. I asked you, we have a former NBA, and forgive me if I sound a little agitated about this, but we have a former NBA basketball player on our, as a coach that stated that he was ready to bring on former ex-NBA or some in the NBA now, Dallas is still in the NBA, to sponsor the basketball program. So I'm asking you, not was he at the meeting, but have you reached out to him? And if not, do you have a problem with it, or reach out to him? Either or, that's all I'm saying.
Understood.
I mean, that makes sense. Everybody, am I making sense?
Yeah, and I think, to your question, you have not gone to probably him or any coaches specifically and asked, but I think to your point, Dr. Webster, because I was in that meeting too, I think we have an advantage because a lot of high school teams don't have an ex-NBA really all-star. So would that be a special conversation?
I think it would.
I think so, yeah.
And I wasn't aware that you guys had talked about that.
No.
I apologize.
Yeah, so.
Is there any other questions specifically to that?
You said
yes.
that you weren't aware. So you didn't know about the.
No, this conversation was
Right.
was actually.
Actually,
just
he hadn't
the three
accepted
of
the
us.
job yet.
No, it was just the three of us. So no one knew about what Dr. Webster is sharing now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it would have been hard
This
for
would
me
be
to
the
go
first
back
time.
on.
Yeah, he didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, back to the strategic plan and how it was rolled out and the things that I think there was 15 to 20 of us in there. We just talked about how to create a sponsorship program that was sustainable. In the past, we have accepted some sponsorships here and there, donations, things of that nature, but this is the first time we will make it a concentrated effort. Again, this outlines some of the things we talked about and the different areas and ideas we have that we want to share with the partners. We talked about just different things. We used the idea of special events, the Tostitos Pike invite, right? There's a lot of different dealerships and places that would like to, I think Mr. Jacob and I talked about it yesterday. What they want to do is they want to know how their name's going to be used. So we tried to figure out every way we could walk into there, be armed with all the appropriate material, and share with them how we can partner.
Quick question, Mr. Product. So, with the goals and objectives, do we have like an idea of a number, of amount of money that we're trying to obtain to help supplement, the support for the teams as we go along with this with your program? So do you have like an idea?
We do not have an idea. The conversation in our meetings were, what could we do? If we were to walk into Champion Chrysler and they offered us $50,000 right there, right, that would give us a parameter that we could start with.
Okay.
I think a dealership's going to offer something a little bit different than maybe a mom and pop heating and air conditioning business. We also have levels for grandma and grandpa if they want to, sponsor just $250. We give them shout outs, tickets, passes to the games, things of that nature. Again, we want to make this a collaborative effort, not just, we all want to hit the home run, which is the goal. And that's part of the reason this was put in place, because if we don't have anything that's sustainable and documented, every year it could be something different. This will allow us to maintain that same structure and goal.
Do we have an idea of about a roundabout number, like fall sports? We have all our fall sports, wrestling, football, volleyball, stuff like that. How much money that typically they would need combined through years? 60,000, 50,000, somewhere in there. Do we have just an idea? I know it's not complete science, but just a ballpark.
The economics as far as, so the programs themselves, they don't provide, so the programs themselves, we provide uniforms, balls, anything they need to compete. That's the athletic department. So the money that's being raised here would be for the athletic department and then in supporting our coaches and athletes.
And so like uniforms wouldn't be purchased every year.
Correct, they're on a rotation.
Right. So am I right in saying, so you're kind of trying to quantify what it costs to run those programs?
For
the fall.
In a sense, so what I'm saying, like, okay, the football team, we know that what the school, the district is going to provide.
Mm-hmm.
And then anything outside of that, they may need some help with that the school doesn't provide, or we don't have the money to provide. And so that's where they get into like the trash bag sales and the car washes and stuff like that.
Fundraisers, yeah.
Yeah, the fundraisers.
Yeah.
So do we have an idea of how much each sport, like football,
Raises.
yeah, how much they would need to raise every year? So if football needs, 7,000 to help supplement, and basketball needs this amount, volleyball needs this, do we have an idea of that combined, how much that is?
I think that might depend a little bit on the program itself. So I coached cross country for many years, and we did some special stuff. Like we went on an overnight trip, we went to dinner, we raised additional funds for those types of things. We do, I think, a pretty good job of keeping them covered, like Mr. Paddock said, so that they can play all the things they need to play. So then outside of that might be, for example, our soccer team is going on an overnight trip this weekend, so they're going to raise quite a bit more funds because they know they're going to use more. Some of them have extravagant end of the year celebrations, so they might raise more money. I know when I was doing it, it was kind of I wanted to raise it and spend it, all of it. So whatever we did, if I did an extra T-shirt or whatever, so I think that is kind of program to program. We would really have to sit and go through what they've raised to give you assign a number to that.
That's what I'm looking for. So when you have the meetings with the coaches, and they say, you sit down with everyone, and they say, okay, we're going over here for this trip, we're doing this. This is about how much money we think we're going to need, and then everyone gives you that sum of that amount, and then you look at the program here. Okay, we're going to need 5 diamond levels, some platinum levels to reach this amount to be. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm trying to see. Does that happen in these meetings?
Yes, and so the caveat is, there's an athletic department ECA fund. And then each team has their own ECA, their own account, their own responsibilities. What she's speaking to, feeding the children, do they have practice gear, things of that nature? That is the responsibility of the head coach. That is in a different pot than this sponsorship money would go towards.
And do the head coaches, do they make that known, like, hey, this is what's coming out of my pocket? Because we give them stipends, correct?
Like coach,
it's
for
a
coaching,
paycheck,
like paid?
Yeah, we give them stipends. So I'm assuming that they're spending out their stipend that we give them to help supply. But this program here will help them be able to get the things
Above
that
and
they need without
beyond.
coming out.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, in order to give what they need to play, the district will provide. But if you want to do things overnight, those types of things, T-shirts, above and beyond those things, then that's where the fundraising comes in. Is that?
No.
No. Okay.
The fundraising comes in, so we pay for officials, we pay for ticket takers, so the cost of running events is pretty exponential. I think we calculated over 17,000 a year just on officials. Or no, sorry, not officials, on workers. It's probably more than that for officials, right? And so we do not receive any direct funds from the district as an athletic department. All of our money is raised through soon-to-be sponsorships, but it's always been through gates.
Through what?
The
Ticket
ticket gates. So football gates, basketball gates, soccer gates. And if you've been to a lot of our different events, right? Football brings a different amount of people compared to cross country where there's no revenue coming in. So we're supporting sports like cross country, golf, and there's no revenue coming in to support them. That money is being used from gate money, from other events.
So right now, because of the trim down of the amount of students that we allow at the football games, so you're saying now that's also a trim down on your fundraising?
Yes, if we were to sell out, we haven't sold out, but yes. If we had 3,000 people there at $10, that's way more than 3,000, or sorry, 2,000 at $10.
We're averaging now about how many then?
Depending on who we play, between 1,000 and 1,500.
And so we normally max out at how many?
We have it set at 2,000 right now.
And that's
For
what I mean
football.
by district.
Football, yeah.
We're not asking for folks to come out and sell, or the kids to sell something. It's the gate, people coming, all of those things monies that we generate to cover the cost of playing.
And
Yeah.
Our
we've
kids
done-
don't pay to play.
No,
Correct.
that's
All
what.
schools do.
Right.
Right. I
We've
think,
got districts that pay, it's $150 per student to play a sport, right?
Okay.
And that's how they're offsetting, plus they got sponsorships and things of that nature. I'm pretty proud about, and I know Kendra is too, what we've been able to do with just ticket money. it is our goal, and we tell this to our coaches. You'll see this a little bit later when we have our preseason meetings with them, what we go through. But it's our goal. Our coaches don't have to worry about anything but coaching. We've got coaches, like our girls basketball coach, who we love, the things he does. He wants everyone to look the same shoes, 3 different practice shirts, all those things. Those are the things that would fall on the coach. Not every coach feels like that is important to their culture and their program. So that money would then be raised by his program. So there's the athletic department, and then we're now up to 25 sports, with 25 sport under us. And anything they want to do above and beyond. And we've uniforms, balls, officials, facilities, all those things. Top of the notch, or top notch with what we have to provide for them.
Do they still, are they, the team still able to work the concession stand and get funds from that?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I know a lot of them do.
Yes.
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 Teams get
We're
the funds.
using.
Correct.
They get a percentage of the.
It's a fundraiser, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we-
considered fundraising.
Are we at the high school level, or are you talking about district-wide?
So we, middle school and high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
because I
In the
just-
youth
just
programs, they pay.
For some,
In the youth programs, parents pay.
I was gonna say, yeah, I just wanna make sure everybody in the room,
Yeah.
when we say we don't pay to play, at the middle school level, we pay to play. They have to buy their uniforms, they do have
You said
to.
everybody pays 125.
Okay, yeah,
Is
so
that,
yeah.
is that
Oh,
correct?
I know of schools that
Yeah.
charge students
Yeah.
$150
No,
to
it's
play.
not 100.
We don't do that here.
No.
Okay, I thought that's, okay.
When I coach, I think for the girls, it was usually about 70, 80 bucks or something like that to pay for their uniform and stuff, but that is an expense of the students.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm still kind of curious about the question Mr. Anderson was trying to get at. Because even though each sport does its own thing, at some point we should know, we can anticipate that this has been our pattern of spending for this in the past. Collectively, what might our pattern be? So that if we are talking to somebody and we want to say anything, what is the target we're shooting for? That we want to say, we need, like you said, this many to do this many to do that, so that we can kind of present it to folks in a way that this is, we're not just kind of out here looking for whatever, we have a certain number we're trying to hit. Anytime you go into a capital campaign or some kind of campaign, you need to know your target. What's your goal? That's, to me, what the goal, we need to know what we're trying to hit.
Yeah.
That's
Let me add to that too.
my thought.
I think most athletic departments, in my thinking, should be compartmentalized. Because you have some athletics that are going to be a wash. Cross country's a wash. What else is a wash?
So there's wash and there's deficits.
There's a loss in
There's
some.
probably more deficits than
You know what I mean by
washes.
wash.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. In most
Yes.
schools, colleges, the football programs carry.
Yeah.
All.
So what
all
I'm saying in
that,
that
yeah.
scenario is, for instance, you what, 30 helmets short this year? You were 30 helmets short this year?
We were short 30 helmets?
That's what I got, that's what I heard.
Not at the high school.
In the high school, with
No.
Washington.
That would be the
That
first,
true?
be the first I heard
I
of it.
heard that either. Those are coaches talking, so. But anyway it goes, what I'm saying in that scenario is, when you compartmentalize, in my thinking, soccer's compartmentalized. So if cross-country's a wash, you connect it with, possibly with soccer. And you have those entities that help one another to sustain what those particular disciplines of sport needs. For instance, you ought to know going into basketball that coach ought to have a list of what he has to go into basketball 6 months before he goes into basketball, before even they get on the floor or go into weight training, what he needs to carry him through that season. That ought to be done through compartmentalization with every sport that we have. So, for instance, if you got volleyball going on, well, you're gonna need $10,000 for uniforms, you're gonna need so much for equipment. So, you know every year through compartmentalization what a budget is for each sport. And then those who can be consumed by the wash effect. can be connected. For instance, basketball might be your strongest one, or football might be your strongest one. You might be able to put cross country, connect those two together, and whatever comes in from cross country automatically goes into the pot, that particular pot, and they can make sure that they have uniforms and things of that nature. You can't depend on gates now, because you could have a good gate with Ben Davis and Pike, and you get a fight at the Ben Davis-Pike game, then you got to do some discipline. Or not discipline, but you got to do some things that would deter the crowd the next time. So that's why sponsorship is so important. Sponsorship is so important to maintain an athletic program in case the gait and the behavior of students and activities don't work out the way they work out. That's why you have to have the compartmentalization ideology. Football needs 20 grand before the season starts. Volleyball needs 15 grand before the season starts. Tennis needs 30, hypothetically 30 grand before the season starts. Girls volleyball, and now flag football needs $7,500 before the season starts. And so it's really basically saying, what are you doing in conversation with your coaches to find out how they're budgeting these teams, so you can then begin to find out the places that you can find the sponsorships that can connect all of these dots for us together. I remember when, I don't know if Dr. Young remembers it, before he became as great as he is in Pike Township, how St. Vincent's was so active, Coca-Cola was so active. I remember you could not come to a football game without a banner somewhere in here. And those monies were keeping those kids in good cleats, good uniforms. At one time, Pike was the best dress. If they wasn't one, they were two. Best dressed athletic program in township and districts. And so, if you don't, this is, and I'm done after this. If you don't have the conversation with your coaches about the budgets they need througthrough compartmentalization and talk about sponsorship, I've been sitting here waiting for a luncheon, an executive sponsorship luncheon or dinner. I've been sitting here waiting for that for years, to where you bring people. We have a lot of things going on around here, but we haven't had a sponsorship luncheon or dinner for the businesses that are in Pike. Do you know how many businesses? Dow is in Pike. My God, so many people are here in Pike. The coach shouldn't have to go nowhere else, but right here on 71st Street to dump money on these athletic students right here. We get sporadic gifts from the coach. And so we have a lot of major multi-million dollar companies in Pike, especially in the 86th Street area, all those. There needs to be a corporate luncheon to bring all these people together and talk about your plan that you've been working on for a year, so that they can see, well, I can buy into this, or I can buy into that, or let's talk about what I can buy into. This is what we're going to do for the community. Matter of fact, Dow owes us some money anyway, as far as I'm concerned. With that decision that took place some time ago, when we had to pay for that $30 million, that lie that was told. They gave us some garden boxes here in Pike. Y'all remember that? Hello, somebody. Nobody wants to remember that. Took totally advantage of us. We should have got thousands and thousands of dollars from that multi-million dollar company. So that conversation was not marketed right. And our children should not have to struggle in the athletic arena when the athletic arena here is so rich and has been for so many years. And so I'm waiting to see how this works out. But I am not pleased, I'll say that, with you being here 12 years and this is your first year doing something like this. If that was somebody else probably in Pike Township, that would be probably unacceptable. And that is, to me, unacceptable. 12 years, this is your first time doing something like this, when you know that sponsorship drives athletics.
I mean, I love where your mind's at, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't want to get into the minutia of all the things that's gone down in the 12 years. I can tell you there was conversations that were had about field houses, and I was told to sit in my lane, and we did. There's not a decision that I've made without the guidance of my principal or those above me. And we've all sat down and said, hey, this is where we got to go. And I agree with you. There's a lot more we can do, and that's why we're here. And so I do appreciate it. And I love where your mind's
real
at.
quick,
Same
I
thing.
think Dow, we may be connecting with is Dow Corteva?
Yeah.
Yes, and Corteva does sponsor quite a bit. Maybe not with athletics, but they do a lot with science, STEM, robotics. So really, if our
That's recently though, isn't it?
yeah, so if our Corteva people are listening, we appreciate you and we thank you for all that you do. And I think, Dr. Moore, you know, I'm excited of what the future holds, and I'm glad we got this thing, I think, coordinated now that we can kick it off. Pike Township's a gem. I think, you know, have we for years and you know, been here forever, I think tapped into all the possibilities? No, but I believe with the things that we've got in place now, we can begin.
Dr. Young, you have nothing in place, sir. What you have here is a proposal to put in place. You've had a meeting to get input to put this in place. February is just a few months away. You have nothing from sponsorship. We're in the height of athletic season. And all I'm basically saying is I understand what you're saying, but at this particular junction, when we see all these other schools, and because I know it's a gym, I've been here 30 years in this town.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a gym. I know what it was. I know what the sponsorship used to be. And I'm not here trying to beat anybody up. I'm here because I'm concerned, because I know athletes that have left our system and went to other schools. I don't want that to continue.
No, we don't.
Yeah, and
No.
I think Mr. Paddock knows I'm right about that.
100%.
Yeah, and so I don't want that to continue. I want us to have an athletic program that's going to produce a student athlete to go to the next level of higher education.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm concerned about our children.
And just to clarify, when I say we got things, this is a plan. It hasn't been rolled out yet. But when I say
know
things in place, we have great coaches. We have the #1 ranked boys and girls basketball team, right? So success in many different sports. So when I say things in place, we have things that I believe when we reach out to organizations and companies that they'll say, yeah, I want to partner with that. We do have students that are graduating from high school at a very high rate. Years ago, we had children that were qualifying for Division I schools and they weren't eligible. So that's when we put in place the 3.0. So there's a lot of things I think that are in place now that when we roll out our plan would entice people to want to support our athletic program. So that's what I was saying.
This is one thing I'm gonna give you an expectation that I want to see come out of this plan, just as the same as you talk to the coaches. You know, when I hear and see a plan like this, I think about the single parent that may have 2 or 3 athletes, and they have to 2 or 3 times pay a sports fee. You know, will this plan supplement, you know, to help that parent? You know, because nobody wants to be embarrassed. I can't play because, you know, I got to pay $300 to play volleyball, but my other child has to have business, but I can't afford that. You know, I think those are smart goals and real measurements. And that is something that I expect to see as we, will set markers during the year. How much did we generate and who did it help? So that's for me, that's what I expect to see here. And then, maybe after the fall season, what did we do?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And to your point, Dr. Moore, you'll see a little bit later, we do have those conversations with our coaches. I'm actually very proud of what we do and how we do it. At the end of each review, we ask our coaches, what do you need? What do you want? And what is your wish list? We know that a year in advance. I'm sorry that you heard that there was 30 helmets missing. I heard from my head coach, we were short 3 extra large.
Heard about that one too.
So I ordered 3 extra large helmets.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So there is not a student athlete that did not have what they need to participate here in my 12 years. Would I like it to be in the scenario of 3 different color helmets and all those things? Yes, sir.
No, we're not talking.
But our kids want it. Our kids want it, and that'll keep them here, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm with you.
I think athletics are, I don't mind talking about it. I graduated because of athletics.
Yeah.
It kept me in school. It kept me, and some of these children need athletics, whether we realize it or not, to help them get through school, because school pride and athletics mean something to them. And all I'm basically saying is, sometimes it's just hard to just talk about truth. We're just not there now. Because I've been in Pike when it was at its height. Now, I'm not saying that we go back to that. I'm just basically saying, how do we continue to build on that? And when I see mid-January, March, June, July, and I know you're going to explain that sponsorship, we're still not getting there.
Correct.
And that bothers me. It just bothers me, and maybe I shouldn't be in this meeting now. It just bothers me to hear, and you don't always believe what you hear, but something's going on when you hear what you hear. Does that make sense? Yeah, something's going on when you hear what you hear. It don't necessarily have to be true, but I'm just hurt about our children and our children and all of our kids in athletics in Pike right now. We got some great. We have a great girls basketball team who's doing well, who probably will go as far as they did last year. And we were able to help them do some things during the course of the year. I know some people who donated money in other places, and money was moved around because it wasn't there. You know what I'm talking about.
I think the number one need for all of our coaches, and you've probably heard in education, regardless if it's athletics or not, but we got to feed them. How are we going to feed them? I think that's the biggest piece, talking about what could this money go towards, feeding our athletes, having them properly nutritioned before and after games. And you'll see some of that here, but that's part of what we have the money allocated towards, as well as one of the things we talked about was having an end of year K through 12 SP award kind of celebration where we bring the whole community together and show them this is what a Pike athlete looks like.
Can you give the website one more time?
Pike HS Athletics. Now, I think you can get to it from the main website. It's difficult.
Right now, and I went to athletics and I can't get
Okay,
there.
and we can follow up with IT to make sure that's so. We'll check for you, sure. And to everyone's point, our idea, asking coaches, giving them information, right? Who's going to go out and do it? Who's going to go out and have those conversations? The idea is that from mid-January, early February to March, May, we just have a concerted effort with anybody and everybody. If that includes you guys here, Coach Teague, everybody. The idea of that meeting in February is to get to June and have, dare I say, $50,000, $100,000. Now we've got a whole month to prepare for the next school year and how we're going to partner with them and let everyone's name be seen, be heard, okay? With that, this is the financial plan that we had pitched and we had talked about as our committee. Again, 15 to 20 people. 50% of it would go to the high school programs, right? And from there, that's how we allocate where the money goes, whether it's food, coaches' gear, making sure students are well equipped. Uniforms, I can tell you we spent over $25,000 this year on new football uniforms. We do that every 3 years. Helmets every year, just a reconditioner, are about 15 grand. I spend 10 to 12 grand, you could pull it up every year on brand new helmets. We ride our coaches on keeping track of them, we know how hard that is. Some helmets don't make it through those years, so we gotta replace more this year or that year. And I promise you, we do that. And I've never had, Coach B came to me and said, hey, we're short XL. I said, I'll have them here in a week. We had them there in a week.
Mr. Potter, can you, about the, can you give me a success story about anyone from Pike that's spoken to a dealership, and what was that like, and any success stories?
Coach Shaker.
Well, yeah, go ahead. When it comes to athletics, you can talk about what you, I mean, I don't know that necessarily be a success story about dealerships and athletics, but you can talk about what you've done.
Mr. President, I've gone out to Georgetown Road and all the dealerships here. I met with them one-on-one. One of the things about doing that, we had a letter that was helped drafted by Dr. Young, was to establish a relationship, to tell our stories. And I've gone to do that. And this is an area that I have experience in. I coach at Penn State, and I did that. And I was a head coach at IUPUI. So Dr. Young helped guide us through that. I've made all those visits to them, and I've followed up actually this week to say, hey, when can we meet, bring you in to have a conversation with our superintendent? What I've understood, I've done this, I was athletic director at another school district, was once you have that relationship, we can talk, they can share with us what they're able to do. The athletic department gave me hats, visors, t-shirts that we were able to share with them. So we're just waiting for those to materialize. I just met with Andy Moore. I didn't know Andy Moore was moving to Whitestown.
Yes.
The general manager said to me yesterday, because I'll get back to you this week or next week because we can still support Pike. And I'm waiting to hear back from him. And then I'll share that with the superintendent to be able to have a conversation or bring them in and see what they're able to support us with.
And Chrysler Champion used to be owned by, thank you, the Falcons. So when they left, there was sort of that missing connection. I was able to connect with the general manager and then another manager who actually was played on the football team when we actually went to state against Carmel, right? So I believe that the opportunities are there. I think now we have to execute the plans. So the seeds have been planted in order to bring those funds that we want. And a lot of the partnerships we've had, we just connected, but they're just not, those funds don't necessarily come to the athletic department. But as a district, we just partnered with Malice right down the street, automobiles, right? They're giving us 10% discount, all Pike employees, if you didn't know. So a lot of partnerships, we have now that sponsor our celebrations event. So we have a lot of sponsors, but we haven't necessarily gone through and connected with the athletics piece. I think this will help us kind of bridge that gap.
So the reason why I
As part of
asked, I just
strategy-
wanted to, go ahead.
As part of your strategy, do you guys plan to train the coaches
On how to-
go out? I mean, that's a big step for a coach to
I
go
think-
into a place and try to get their business. If they have the relationship, and sometimes they're scared or hesitant, so if you at least give them the tools that they need, even if it's a script, to go out and talk to those people.
100%.
So are you doing, do you have something in place for that or no?
So that's our biggest fear, right? Is asking our coaches to do one more thing. They work 365 days a year, working with our student athletes. I mean, and so part of it was us creating, again, the dialogue in that meeting, right? Just to start off, just regular conversations. I've had so many coaches come to me. I've got a parent on my team. I've got a friend. I've got someone else. And we're gonna hand them that slick that you got there, and we're gonna give them a 2-sentence. Hey, if you're looking for an opportunity, here's what we can do for you. There's the different levels. Would you be open to speaking with Mr. Jacob, with Mr. Paddock, with Dr. Young?
That has not been the expectation in the past, right?
There has never been, no, that has not been an expectation. We're gonna, and that's part of what we talked about last February, is here's what we need from you.
Yeah.
And again, some of our coaches gave us the deer in the headlight, wow, I'm not gonna go ask anybody for $50,000.
Right. And one piece we talked about too, I really believe that we have some coaches that I think could absolutely turn us on to some major funded dollars. I think it's going to be our parents and our community people. So we have parents that work at very large companies, organizations, and so one of the things that would be part of the plan is to actually roll this out to our parents. So we talked about what parent meetings.
So we started that this fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a mandatory parent meeting with our parents. We sit down and we go through our list of stuff, and on there, this is included.
So the parent, there's opportunities for your organization or your company if you guys or you as an individual want to be a sponsor, right? So let's say you're there. If you could just connect us with the person in your company, then we can take it from there, those organizations. But if you think about every team, you multiply that times 15, 20, 30 different athletes, I think those parents and the people and grandparents are going to be the ones that are really going to connect with those large corporations to get some money. So there's also a parent piece. Like you said, some of our coaches, they're just not going to be very effective at doing that.
I think some will be good. Our baseball coach, he talks to us, and he's got a name for us. Or we're Redenbach or popcorn or something, I don't know.
The reason why I asked that, and I'm going to speak to Dr. Moore's point. So, and thank you for your testimony, Mr. Jacob, and what you said, Dr. Young. So, in one day, my daughter got $65,000 pledged from 5 different businesses here in Pike. One day, pledged $65,000. I didn't realize how rich, to your point, Dr. Moore, Pike was, and how enthused a lot of businesses are about helping the school district, because the school district is the heart of the township. It's the heartbeat of the township. And so, to this point, having the luncheons, doing stuff like that. Planned Parenthood, Tony Dungy came and spoke 2 weeks ago, and they did all $100,000 and had a little auction. You know, I was just shocked, like, wow, how effective this is. So, if a teenage child can go out by herself in one day and it got pledged, and she had 3 more on the line, $65,000 easily, just like that. And they were enthused. I bet that as a district, we could be even more efficient in that, in uncovering those opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, not just hearing about it or talking about it, but people going out there for teenage child to do it. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's the plan. I think that's why we are very excited about it. And I think, to Ms. Wilson's point, this will be a huge help, because even I don't mind talking. I love to talk in public settings, but going and asking someone to donate money is more challenging. So I think this, and then connections that
I love it.
our coaches already have.
I love it.
Like there's like Mr. Paddock said, when people come and say, I've got this parent who wants to do this. So this is just going to be that extra piece that we need to kind of get across the finish line to
It explains
make
it
the
all.
connections. Yeah.
I don't have to stumble over the words. I don't have to try to sell you on it. This is a listing of some of our opportunities, and it can help bridge the gap between those folks that are really, really good and those folks that I have connections. I just don't feel comfortable asking or articulating what the possibilities are.
Right.
I have a podcast, and I've raised $250,000 in 3 years, just talking at 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and pushed it into organizations at 8 to 9. And it is an art. It is an art. You got to know how to do it, and you got to. If you don't love Pike, you can't sell Pike. You got to love Pike to sell it, and that's the main objective, is to love Pike and to sell it, and to come to do what I, and it's not talking about me, I'm just talking about the opportunity that I have to push dollars to other entities. It never comes to my hands. I just push it to those directions, and they get it done. And so all I'm saying in that scenario is that you got to be creative. And really, I don't think it's the coach's job to raise money. It's the coach's job to make sure them people are making that 3.0 that you're talking about, and that they're staying in school, that they ain't in the crevices of these hallways, doing something that's gonna get them put out of school, that you gotta put them in detention. That's not their job. Their job is to coach and maintain discipline, make sure their grades are there.
Yeah.
There ought to be somebody, I don't know if Brother Jacobs is doing that there must be a concentration on that. Because you've got 11,000 students, that is between $250,000 to $325,000 a year to have and to feed your sports program. That's just me looking at it from my lens. And that's bare tactics. That's with one helmet, not three. And, you know, so I'm just basically saying, I mean, we can talk about this all day, and then after we get through talking about it, and it don't work, then what you gonna do?
We're gonna build a podcast.
Right. This
We want a
podcast.
spot on the podcast. So we
We
can
do
start with
have
that.
one of these,
I
right?
I think we know who's leading the committee on there.
Yeah, all right.
I need to start one.
Yeah, and collaboration and support, we don't have to continue going through this. One thing I did want to say is, again, this is not just the high school, it includes the middle schools. You know, if we get to a point where we're bringing in 100,000 a year, and they're getting 10% per school, that's 10,000. That's more than they've ever, you could talk to the middle school ADs right now, there won't be another student that has to pay for a uniform. Obviously the signage and marketing, right? We start putting signs across the district, things of that nature. We're gonna have to pay for that out of our own as part of the partnership. And then this is one of the things that we really wanna make sure we start doing with this is the district sports banquet. We have like the top 30, all those things. We would like to do a K through 12 red carpet celebration at the end of the year that starts recognizing our athletes at the youngest of ages. So we wanna build those relationships as soon as possible. Any other questions on the sponsorship stuff?
Yeah, I'm gonna put you on the lead right now. The new bank at 38th, it's an old National.
38 in Mobile.
You need to send somebody up to Old National, because Old National has some very, very difficult issues. And do a small presentation with the manager just to see how they will respond. I would take one item, whatever the item is, you want to address, whether it be a series of, what you got coming up? Basketballs, you need 100 basketballs, right? You need 100 baseballs, right? Whatever you need, just tell them that, you know, you're the athletic director or whoever you send, and tell them that we're happy to have you in our community. I don't know if anybody's tapped you into sponsorship, but Pike, which is a well-diverse school, which Old National has a problem dealing with diversity, and so they would probably be willing to listen to you. Sponsorship starts off with equipment, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
It doesn't start off saying we need $10,000.
And if you go to Old National, ask for Raphael.
There you go, talk to him.
Raphael is the president.
And so, and when you do that, you say, well, we need so many jerseys for we need to buy uniforms for our volleyball team. You go in there with a specific, and when you go in there with a specific, they can understand that more. And the uniforms might be $20,000, but when you say you want $20,000, that's not fundraising. Fundraising for an athletic department is, could you do this for these children? And then as you develop that relationship, then you can say, we need a scoreboard. We need this, we need that. But you start off pushing the children who wear the uniforms, who are exactly in those particular situations. You want to meet corporate entities love meeting the needs of children. And so you push your children. When I mean children, whatever, your cross-country children or your tennis children. You might need this or you might need that for this particular sport. You push that. Like he said, they had to pay, what, $80 for uniforms. So if he would have known that he could have pushed that idea on a corporation, it probably would have been different. Do you think so, sir?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, in most cases.
I do want to kind of piggyback on that just before we get off the topic, get, the 50 to 30 and everything, and I get that. I come from the middle school athletics, and so we talked. This is why I asked about why when we say the word we. I know the high school is always it's the Taj Mahal, right? It's the big thing. I get that it always is, and it makes sense. I do just want to make sure that, even more than just dividing these things up exactly evenly, maybe like this, and I always want to be careful. Sometimes I say stuff and it takes a sharp right turn out of my mouth and goes a different direction than I meant for it to. Nothing I am saying. I think I do not want anything to be taken as a negative on any of the middle school athletic directors. They do an outstanding job. I know most of them. I've seen what they do. If you go, but with the funds they have, you go in the equipment rooms and look at the equipment that our middle schoolers have, and look at the equipment that our high schoolers have. We could probably buy more and better for our high schoolers, but maybe sometimes let's look at it, is it good enough right now here in the high school, and maybe we need to put some dollars a little more in the places that we don't normally put it. And I said whenever I ran for this that I wanted to be the one talking for the middle schools, because I feel like sometimes it gets a little overlooked, and so just.
That's why compartmentalization is so important. You can compartmentalize the high school and compartmentalize middle school.
So to your point, I've been hearing it for about 2 weeks from Coach Hall over at Guyan on the soccer team, and he's been screaming about their needs. And unfortunately, he knows I'm a board member, and he comes right up to me at the health collects, and he's just screaming about what they need. And so I told him, I said, wait. So to your point,
yeah.
Coach, do you know Coach Hall?
I don't know him, but I do know Mr. Dawkins, who's the AD there. And again, that is not a slight on him, because I know he's doing with what he's got. But
yeah, that's what he told me.
Yeah.
And we collaborate with the middle school ADs. We do not oversee them, but they were a part of every piece of this. And we meet with them every 3 months, and we go through all these things. I know at this point, Mr. Jacobs is missing with them every week, every other week. Every 2 weeks is meeting with them.
Your name did come up. He came up.
So that is not lost. And we agree. That's one of the things we talk about on how we're going to retain our athletes.
And soccer, he come up, right? Over at Guy and Bruce. Your name come up. You've been over there. Anyway, I like to compartmentalize though. When we take an assertive effort on certain departments, I think we can get somewhere.
And the we piece of it, when we sat down, is we didn't want to compete against the middle schools. That's why, and that pie can change. I get that. What we didn't want is to compete against the high schools, because if you are a local business and it's one of the middle schools or one of the high schools, which is going to bring more notoriety to your name, and so that was a big piece of it. That's the part that was very important to us. And I
think too, one of the things we talked about too, though, if a middle school parent, they should get the same information. But if they land the sponsorship, those numbers don't stay the same.
Okay, that's one thing I want to.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So that means they're included.
No, that means the do we have that number where we talked about? So what if they? Okay, that's a conversation we've had, right? Where if I'm at Guyan and I land a sponsorship, I don't just get 10% of that money.
Okay.
That whole thing's flipped around. Yes, absolutely.
And it's
that wouldn't be fair. Yeah. Yeah.
It's important, and the athletic directors know, and the coaches know at the high school level. There's a difference between a sponsorship and a donation. We know we have families who want to donate to their child's program. They can collect donations still, that comes up through the board in our process. Okay, so there's
Oh,
the
yes.
sponsorship piece and there's the donation piece.
Right.
So we understand there's a lot that goes into this. I am not, God's gift to collecting money and going out and asking for it. But we sat down, I thought, collectively and came up with a pretty good plan. And that was one question that came up. It might have been Dawkins, just like, what if I have a parent that wants to take it? There's a donation process.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so one of the other things Dr. Young asked us to talk about is athletic directors' roles and responsibilities. There are many of those. We pulled this straight from our handbook, so obviously Mr. Wally is our guy. He's the administrative lead, responsible for the IHSAA, and he has put us in place to kind of make it happen. So this is just a tiny snapshot of what we do. It kind of, and within each one of these, there's a lot more beneath it. I know you have this in front of you. Obviously, our biggest one, supporting and supervising the coaching staff. And I said this earlier, when people ask us what we do, it's create great opportunities for our students. So that's technically our goal, but our coaches, we feel like, kind of need to come first sometimes because that's who's touching our kids. The coaches are with our kids all the time. So supervising and taking care of our coaching staff is very high on our priority list because they're the ones that are really creating these great experiences for our kids.
I have a question.
Yes.
I see what's evaluating head coaches. How does a coach take a team to a state final and not be the coach of the year? Could you explain that to me?
We do have that in our presentation. Would you like to skip ahead to that piece?
Yeah, I was just looking at the evaluation of head coach here.
Yeah, we have it at the end of the. You want
You
to
want to
skip
coach
to
of the
it?
year? You want to talk
You
about
want to
that?
skip? We do have that whole
We have that
process.
in the presentation.
Okay, I'll wait on it.
Okay.
I just saw that in there. I was just reading. I'm sorry to get ahead of you. It just came to me.
Oh, good. Yes, so we will definitely come back to that. Hiring coaches, evaluating coaches, scheduling the actual contest itself, the officials, the transportation, supervising the programs, policies that coaches put into place, communicating. That's also kind of our big, we communicate with literally everyone in the district, also our kids, our coaches, parents. That's huge on our list. And there's a lot we're responsible for too, the Indiana High School Athletic Association. So we're in meetings with them. There's a whole book of bylaws that we follow. We're responsible for knowing those, sharing those, ensuring that our coaches know those, providing our staff with safe facilities and equipment, financial management. We've talked a lot about that. Facility usage. It's like a Tetris game, kind of trying to schedule all of our facility usage, which is an awesome thing. We've got a lot of teams in the building and on our outdoor fields and courses all the time, which is awesome. Huge part of the job. And then Mr. Wally's favorite one, other duties assigned by the principal. So whatever the boss says to do, that's what we do. So really tiny snapshot of what we do. Some of it's daily, some of it's, I always say the tough part of the job is prioritizing. I've got a game tonight, but I really want to get this crew for this 6A football game that's 2 years down the road. That's also a big priority. So there's a lot that goes into thinking every day, being a high school athletic director. It's not, I'm a person who really likes control. I should have known going into education that I was going to lose all that. But it's just, you never know. You walk in the door and you never know what you're going to walk into that day. Sports culture, articulation, something else Dr. Young asked us to chat about. We do have an articulation plan, kind of an overarching, and then each of our coaches are responsible for this as well, which we will talk about a little bit more in detail when we talk about our expectations of our coaches and evaluations. But our coaches are expected to provide this to us, and it's really an example or an explanation of how they're going to communicate with the middle school coaches, elementary, youth, because when we say that when we hire a new coach at the high school level, we say that he or she is in charge of that program for our district. We want them to be out and about, making connections with our younger kids in elementary school, and then obviously the middle school into the high school. Our newer coaches, we kind of try to, if they're brand new, let's figure out this program here at the high school. Then we work into, okay, let's work down at the middle schools, and we eventually get to our younger kiddos. They're responsible for meeting with middle school and youth coaches. They provide information for clinics and camps that may be statewide or nationwide. They do a great job of attending middle school practices, competitions, just trying to keep our kids here. And we've talked about this too, especially this day and age. It's tough to keep our kids. So they do special visits, recognition days, special tournaments that we hold here. We've actually got both middle school soccer teams are playing on our soccer fields right now. They're hosting the Marion County tournament here. It's kind of a cool experience for our kids. Both teams won Tuesday, so hopefully they'll win this evening. That's kind of a huge view, an overall view of our articulation plan. Yes, sir.
Feeder systems. I remember years ago we had, it hadn't been long ago, an outstanding football feeder system here. You've been here 12 years. You were here when it was here. What happened to it?
So the youth organization does not report to me. It's the responsibility of the head coaches, but Derek Wilkerson, who's the president of the PYFL, I have we do not work together as far as anything other than paying officials and helping out with scheduling the fields.
Who's responsible for that?
For the
you're
youth?
not responsible.
Yeah, so the youth sports coordinator would be Mr. Wilkerson, but that would be all youth sports. And then specifically for football, is that?
You only got two teams this year, am I right?
Yeah, Derek Wilkerson and then, yes, Mr. Clinton
Travel?
Sims. They work together, yeah. And they've,
Yeah.
I don't know a ton about it, but I've heard some about it just through our coach. I know they've kind of changed the structure a little bit this year.
And I don't want to speculate, but I think if I understand, we can get you the answer, Dr. Moore. I think what I'm understanding from you is participation has waned in youth football, and you're asking why.
Yeah, I'm basically saying, when she makes a statement, what are the coaches' involvement? At one time, our coaches were extremely involved in those youth programs. And that's when our football team was moving pretty good. And so I don't know what this new head coach does with this youth football, but I mean, it's
Let me help you out, Doc. So
okay. Help me.
to help Dr. Moore out, obviously we are in the community all the time. Let's just take example what you talk about the football program. Now I've gotten from coaches, unfortunately they see me, they don't talk. And I have to listen. I cannot shut them off because they were some of the ones that helped elect me as school board members. Some of them are certainly upset at the Little League football program now because we once used to have all of our middle schools and grade schools play football together. Now we've come in and been overtaken by another league, flag football and all that. And so now we don't have that feeder system like that amongst us because young boys are not playing at that level. I think they were downsized quite a bit to the point that some say, well, they just not signing up no more. So anyway, coaches have their own story about that. To answer your question, they have their own story about that. They also, Champ, I want to push back some. They also have their own story about the football program and the overseer head coach, because from what we also understand is that there's no such thing. They do not visit these schools with the exception if they get wind of a certain talent that we don't want to lose, then they come see them. But other than that, they're not coming to our school. Now, I get this on a regular basis.
The football program.
Yeah, and I think that-
Basketball program too.
Okay, no, that's fine.
But mainly football. One of the reasons we kept Isaiah, the reason why we have Isaiah now is because the basketball coach did make the visits to get Isaiah over here, because Isaiah was being recruited by, you gotta understand that the same story that y'all hear, plus you probably don't hear, that we do hear. And it's right now, it's just not a good place.
We're talking
Back
middle
in-
school or youth?
All of it. I'm really talking about all of it
Backing
now.
up to our coaches, we do have several high school coaches on staff who do coach at the youth league as well. And I'm talking football right now to address your question, that are on staff with youth. And then and like what Mr. Paddock said, the youth program itself, the organization of it, the game schedule, all of that is handled by Mr. Wilkerson. But our head coach he holds all winter and all spring youth camps for K-8. So he'll have the youngest kids come inside. Also, he does it once or twice a week, all winter and spring. The younger kids come inside, the older kids are out on the field. We were just floored really by the number of kids he had in the last, I guess it's been 2 years now. The number of kids that attend those, tons of kids, of youth that want to play football. They do like speed and agility, and they do actual football drills, but that is all winter. And I know that they, on Thursday nights, like nights like tonight, our practice ends at early, 4:35, so that the coaches can go to middle school games, because our middle schools play football on Thursday nights. So it may not be obviously the head coach at every visit, and they may or may not know who. I mean, there's several coaches on our staff, but I know coaches they are going to these events, to their games.
And we can talk to them about expectations about
Yeah.
when they're being there and on the sideline is
What they
different than
do.
talking to athletes. I also know that
How
they,
often, Champ, do they go?
We would have to get an actual from that.
We
To
can
my
check on
knowledge, we can check on it, but
Yeah,
they
check
talk
it.
about it often. I mean, they'll come in and say, "Oh, the
Yeah.
game at Guyan last night." Well,
Yeah.
They
Let's-
talk about it,
Yeah.
so.
We'll get that for you. I know like they had the summer program where we had the gentleman who played professionally. I can't, his name slipped my mind, come back. But yeah,
Like-
we'll get that for you.
Question though.
How often does the head coach make his presence known at the middle school when there is some athletes there that you do have to go put your hands on? And I do know that Coach Hollins is very good at going over to, the reason his basketball girls are number one and then recruiting them is because he goes over there. He doesn't send his assistants, he scopes them out. He goes to the awards nights at the middle schools so that those people know this is who you're going to be dealing with and we want you to stay here. So how is the head coach of the boys football team being held accountable that you can say, Coach, tell me when did you go over to Blue West?
And
Tell
I
me
just
when
wanna
did you
be
go over
careful.
Guyan?
Yeah.
Tell me when you
Yeah.
went over to
Right.
Lincoln. And when you went over there, what kind of prospects do we have?
We'll
Do
get
we
you
have that kind of
information, but I
accountability?
don't want you guys talking about individual coaches.
Got it.
And I
in
apologize
the
for
work
that.
session, but I think if you guys we'll get that, anything you want. So what I'm hearing is you want to know sort of how often,
Yeah.
what the opportunities are for the youth group, and then also, with
we
the
don't
youth
lose
program, how numbers.
opportunities.
Yeah, we get that
We don't
information.
I think communication of
Yeah.
measurement,
Yeah.
of measurement.
Sure.
Better
Yeah, we don't
communication
wanna
of
lose
measurement of that, so
Yeah.
that that way,
We can
it
get
won't
that.
be like a whether or not, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we get a report. okay,
And what are
this
you
is what we-
prepared to do to strengthen that youth program, if you can, in any way? What
Yeah.
are you prepared to do? What can you be prepared to do to strengthen these youth programs?
Mhm.
I mean, because I'm in a personal dilemma myself with one of my grandchildren. I mean, you know that. And he's in Pike every day, but he plays in Ben Davis.
And so I want to make this statement too, because I don't want our athletic directors, I don't want it to be perceived that we are picking on certain coaches, but we do care. And when Dr. Moore talked about the feeder system, I think it's important. Yes, it's okay to send staff when you can, but I think it's also very important for, let's just use Jim, since we're not going to talk about call names here. Let's just use Jim Delahan, for example. Jim Delahan was at South Wayne. He was at, and I know this per se because my nephew and all of them played football in the Ben Davis system. He came down to the programs, feeder system. And then he had the Ben Davis Little Giants summer camp. And so I think that it's very important, and I'm not just single out no coach, but I think it's very important if we're going to have a good feeder system so that our talent is not picked off. I think it's very important that we keep hands on
that the head coach is involved.
head start.
Yeah.
And I'm with you 100%. I think one thing to consider is feeder systems look a lot different these days. I've got a 16-year-old now, one in college. Feeder systems consist of 8 to 10U, and then they travel. They go and play all over the place. And we talk about this in our AD conference all the time. High school athletics are under attack because there's so much money made in youth sports. And they travel all over. My daughter, she elected not to play softball in college because she played too much sport when she was younger. And it's every sport. We've lost our best goalie to a developmental Olympic league in Carmel.
So now, Dave, I want to put you on the spot.
I guess I'm just asking you guys to consider too that there's a dynamic shift in athletics that's changing, and our coaches are trying to figure out. And it's to your point, it's really got to focus in on the 8 to 10U and the articulation plan. We talk about this. If I have a daughter growing up in Pike Township, what does my articulation look like if I want her to play collegiately?
So I want to ask a question.
So at what point does she start traveling, which is what everyone's pressured to do?
We got that. We got that. But we're talking about retaining the talent that we have.
Yes.
So I want to ask you a question personally. What have you or would you consider going to, it don't have to be all the time, but our AD director of the district or the high school going to our middle schools and little school programs and say, hey, I'm Dave Paddock. We look forward to ABC. It's just anything positive to say to our kids. We're looking forward to you coming along in this system, the Pike way, ABCD, and they're seeing who you are. They're seeing who a champion is. I mean, would you be beyond that?
No, I have a lot of emotion to that question right now, and I don't want to speak out of turn or out of place. I agree with you. I'd love to be able to do that. We've added 5 new sports at the high school. We are working 6 days a week just to cover events, and I'm not making excuses. I'm proud of what we're doing and how we're getting there. We are expanding what kids are allowed to do, and then we are asking, I think, more of our coaches and just everybody in general. Whether that's, and again, that's probably more than I probably should have said or got there, but I would love to have that conversation with these guys. And we've started the conversations as far as what would it take to do that. I know our football coach, right, at one point his position was designed to be at the middle schools half a day. We need more people in the weight room. We've got 500 students in our weight room. It's too small, and it's tight. And you want to compare ourselves to other schools and what their weight rooms look like. We got kids as freshmen at other schools that are putting in more squat reps as freshmen that we can get kids in that room. And so now we've got to have more people in there. And so we are working very diligently and hard with all the powers that be to be able to do those things.
I guess it comes down to me. It comes down for me to, we're not asking him or her or them to be at the high school 3 days, or the middle schools 3 days a week. All we're asking is because we have to field questions when I'm trying to be in the hot room, cool and just taking care of my mental state. Somebody in here talking to me about Pike's football program and why they don't. All we're asking is they don't have to be designed to go there 4 days a week. Just do they go and how often? That's the question.
We'll get back to you.
Do you go and how often?
I understand. I got that.
Yeah.
We can get that back to you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
You touched on something that is a little more near and dear to me. I'm the weirdo on the board that I love going to football games, basketball, all that stuff, but the other sports are kind of, it's from my heart is. You talked about your daughter with softball. I saw that when I coached middle school softball here near the end of my time coaching, we actually started making gains on the other teams. It wasn't that we were getting better, it was all that all their best players, even in middle school, was already leaving middle school and going to play travel ball. So they finally had girls playing on their team that had the same amount of experience that our girls did, because until then they were just killing us. So I definitely see the travel ball, and I would assume it's not just softball, it's everywhere. It's taking the kids from public school sports. I saw that happen more around us than to us. But with that, I also know one reason that our girls didn't participate in travel ball, and I know what it is for softball and baseball. I'm going to assume that it's like that else, across the other travel leagues. It's money. You can't afford to. So I guess my question is more, what do we do? This gets back to the sponsorship, this gets back to those things for our kids that financially going and playing in travel ball, travel league, whatever sport it is. That's not a thing. What do we do here to help them so that their public school experience with that at least gets them the equipment, it gets them what they need to go as far as their talent can take them, as far as they want it to take them, help them through their high school career. That's what I always saw was, I got tired of it being that our girls are getting beat by them, not because they're not as good as them or even as athletic as them. They don't have the same opportunities because they don't have the money.
Yeah. And then those other girls in middle school that you weren't seeing, they're not participating in middle school, but they sure come back in high school, and they're really good.
Yeah.
So I think a couple things. One, I think that's sort of where we started trying to create some of the camp opportunities, which is great. But in an ideal world, with a whole bunch of money, what you could do, we've had this, I know with baseball, you could have your own, well, we couldn't do a sponsor you, give you money to go play travel somewhere else, but we could have our own travel team. But with that, you have to pay all the registration fees, travel fees, and you're gonna have to pay for a coach, too. So I think those are some opportunities to bridge the gap. I mean, you're right?
We tried that one
if you have
summer,
parents, if you have parents that have money and it's expensive.
Yes.
Then they've got an advantage. I do believe through sponsorships that we could provide, but it's it's going to take some money.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with us creating our own travel program. But you have to pay for uniforms, all the registration fees for all the tournaments. If they go overnight, pay for that. And I think if you're going to do it right, you're probably going to have to pay for a not one of your head coaches, but a travel coach.
Well, the head coach has limits on how many of their kids they can coach.
Right.
That would be a travel coach.
It is just such a thing.
Now, absolutely. Now, another thing that I've seen too is I've seen schools partner with an organization. So, for example, I'm gonna take like my boys to play up at for the Titans travel program. Well, I've seen some school organizations claim that as their travel program, so they would use that infrastructure, implant their own sort of coach, so to speak, have their own coach there, right, and then funnel the kids from that school maybe to that travel program.
Here's how that worked, Dr. Young, if I could. I have to say it because I experienced it. What happened was when we had a multiplicity of between 9 to 10 teams in Pike at one time, you do remember that, they would create the all-star team, which then became the travel team. They had all of those teams together, and out of all of those teams, what made it so phenomenal was they would pick all-stars out of each of those teams to create the travel team, which made competition for students or athletes, young athletes, more competitive, and they would take what they were doing more serious because they wanted to be on that travel team.
Yep.
And so that's how it once worked. Was I think it's a great system. I mean, if you got 10 girls youth softball teams here, you pick from those groups to create your travel team to move up in Hamilton County, to move to play all over during the summer. It's mostly in the summer, right before school start, at the end of school. But that's the way it worked at one time, where all the teams that were Pike, were They created that travel team out of those 9 to 10 teams. So they would end up with maybe 25 to 30 boys, football that is, that were on the travel team. And they furnished, and then that's when the parents came in. Mr. Paddock made a great point. Parents are not ever going to go to a corporation and ask for sponsorship. They're going to give you donations for their children. And so that's how the uniforms got bought and things of that nature for that traveling team, because the traveling team, their uniforms were much different than playing for the Pike Eagles or playing for the Pike Giants or playing for the Pike Owls. So they had that red jersey on their travel team with the helmets and things.
Okay. Move forward here. I know there's a lot we're trying to get to, so just slow me down if I'm going too fast here. But we wanted to put this in here. This is something that we share with our coaches. I think Mr. Paddock mentioned our summer in-service every summer, and this is every coach from youth league to high school, head coach, assistant coach, volunteer coach, everyone that we have on staff gets together over the summer. We actually had a huge turnout this year, but we go through this with them kind of as a whole group, and just talking about these are our priorities. And you've got 2 sheets worth there, 2 screens worth. Our organization, we've talked about this a lot, from the elementary to the high school athlete, staffing, and that's at the middle school and youth. Sometimes it's always tough to find coaches, even at the high school level. But training coaches really on how to coach. Sometimes you might get a teacher at a middle school that says, hey, I'll do it, but they may not really know a ton about that sport. So we've worked on that a bit. Our coaches, coaching the middle school coaches, talent identification and retention. We've talked about this a lot, trying to keep our kids here in Pike. We want to keep our kids here in Pike. The landscape on that has changed a lot. A new law was passed. The IHSA passed this transfer. I mean, if you think it's prettier over here, you can transfer now. You can go. Everybody gets a free one-time transfer. That is something that we talked to our coaches quite a bit about this summer. We're meeting with them here, I don't know, within the next couple of weeks. Again, that's going to be something that we are really going to hit hard. Not that we haven't always discussed that and wanted to keep our kids here, but it's tougher now. So we're really going to have to work to keep them here. Of course, fitness and skill development, game plans, so X's and O's. Academic plan, we touched on this a little bit. Develop and maintain high academic standards. This is a non-negotiable. You can't play if you don't reach a certain academic standard. We send our grades out every Friday to our coaches. They're in hand. I think our coaches do a great job with this. Coaches and assistant coaches holding kids accountable. And then also here, character development. This one's huge for us. Moral values, standards, exemplary behavior. We'll talk a little bit more about sportsmanship, but that one's big. Parental involvement. It can be awesome or not so awesome. We can have parents that are really involved and super helpful, parents that are really involved and a little stressful, and then some that just aren't involved at all. So this is something that we're trying to work with our coaches to pull from that parent group and use those parents to help get on board, because they can help with a lot of the things that we're talking about. Equipment, facility planning, progressive plan for our facilities. We've got a lot happening right now. I don't know, I heard you posted a picture today. The gym. Did you post it of the gym? The floor, the bleachers, it's beautiful. We are super excited about that. It's bright, new, gonna be awesome. Community involvement, community service. All of our programs have a community service piece that they're responsible for, that they do with their teams. Public relations, so we're trying to promote, market, positive image of Pike Athletics. Again, this goes along with trying to retain. We want our whole community to be involved. That's something that I love about this community. I've been at Pike, I taught here first for 15 years, so 25-ish years. That is one of the things that I love the most, is that the community is involved, and they want to be involved, and they want to have arms put around them. It's a really cool thing that I think a lot of people maybe don't know about our community. And that's huge. And I think we can touch a lot of the people in the community through athletics, and we try to teach our coaches this as well. And then lastly, administration, facilitate a unified communication process among our administrators and our leaders. And I think we do a pretty decent job of that. Like I said, communication is literally what we do. Sometimes I think that's all I do, whether it's talking, emailing, phone calls, all the things, communicating. So that is a really quick overview of our high priorities that, again, we share with our coaches, every coach in our district, and we go through this every year with them at the in-service. So we've kind of talked about what our idea is, what our plan is, K through 12. This is how we want to develop and keep our kids here. And then collegiately, just briefly, because this was something Dr. Young wanted us to mention as well, collegiate relationships. Our head coaches really take the lead on this because there are so many things that differ from sport to sport as far as the next level is concerned. So they do take the lead. However, we have implemented this core course GPA tracking system that our department pays for. This is something that every athlete, we want every athlete to be signed up for this. This will literally track their grade. They input their classes. It will select, these are the core classes, because the NCAA's core might be different from what they're taking. You know, advanced ceramics is not going to count. The A+ in advanced ceramics is not going to count toward the NCAA core GPA. So this program is awesome. They put their courses in, it follows, it tracks. So when you're a sophomore and you decide, I want to play at the next level, you can look at what you've got, sit with your counselor, and decide, okay, you can really plan it out. I gotta take these classes, because what we don't want to happen is for a kid who never thought they would play at the next level to be starting his or her, halfway through their junior year and decide, oh, I do want to play, and now we don't have all the classes we need, we don't have the grades we need. So this has been really great. They work with our counselors on this. We also, one of our assistant principals is awesome. He will take any athlete anytime in the office, sit down, go through their classes. That's a huge one, because they can't go to the next level unless they've managed their core course GPA. Yes, sir.
Can you go back and elaborate on number 3, head coaches facilitate college relationships?
Yes. So this, and as we go through here, the head coaches, so they, whatever it is in their sport, a lot of coaches will have relationships. They know what coaches at the collegiate level. They'll reach out to those coaches. We do put it in their hands. It's their responsibility to work with the athletes and the parents and the coaches to try to create those connections so that they can go on to play at the next level. And as I said, it's different. It's not something that we feel comfortable just taking on, because I don't want to miss something, and there's lots of rules, lots of different, the time periods are different, recruiting, signing, but our coaches know this is their responsibility. And I believe we've got a lot of kids each year signing in a lot of sports to play at the next level, at every level, Division I, Division II, Division III, we've got NAIA, and so that, I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, what I'm getting at, so again, the stuff that fathers tell us in the community, my question is, do the ADs, yes, the head coaches facilitate the relationships, but do the ADs talk from time to time with the head coaches to see, for example, we have D1 players and athletes that get letters and that kind of thing coming to them. Do the AD sit down with the head coaches to see, or even maybe not sit down, but just kind of see what's coming this athlete's way, and are they ready? Do the ADs do that?
Yes, that is something that we talk about with our coaches one-on-one, and we'll get here too. We meet with our coaches preseason, each season, one-on-one, also postseason. So preseason maybe would be when we would talk about the kids that are up, they're getting ready, it's time. Postseason, maybe those that are coming along. We get a lot of mail in our office with the athlete's name on it that we're dropping in these coaches' mailboxes. Hey, you got letters for,
That's
you
what I'm
got
getting
letters.
at.
Yes, and it's awesome. It's really cool to be a part of when those letters come in, 100%. And then those letters go to the kids, and then and a lot of kids, I mean, they've got a lot of questions. We've got kids making huge decisions right now. And that they work with their parents, they work with the coaches, and we talk about this at our parent meetings too. Our parent meetings are individual, sport by sport. So it's a smaller group, so we can sit down. We chat for 15 minutes or so before the coach takes over and runs that meeting, but we talk about all these things in those meetings too, and let them know that they have several outlets. Coach, counselor, us, Mr. Seidella, yes.
What would
So
be,
yes.
what would be the repercussion if an athlete father knew that their son or their athlete was not getting the letters that was coming to them, and they found out? What would be the repercussion from the ADs?
There'd be a conversation. I'd have to understand and investigate why are they not. So the father would have to come to us and say, hey, I've got proof, this is happening, yes or no?
Okay.
What are your thoughts? And that's a pretty serious offense. I mean, that's a coach that's not,
not good.
you know, speaking up for the better well-being of their athlete.
Just know I'm not making this up. So just know I'm not making it up. That's why I'm asking the question, and I know that this is the setting to ask the question in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we would
never
wanna
been
know
brought to
that.
us.
That's not
It's
good.
never been brought to us.
I'm a victim of that.
Yeah.
I was a victim of that. I was. That's a heck of a feeling for a father and a student athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, to graduate and then they hand you your letter.
Oof, not good.
Thank you.
Coaches can be pretty mean.
Yeah.
And I said it, so yeah, they can be pretty mean.
Anything else here? Eligibility, coaches go through that, timelines. I think I kind of talked about this. And then we share, obviously we share lots of things, everything through Parent Square. Our coaches really do that as well. And then Final Forms, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. If you're a parent of an athlete here, you are. That is a database that houses all of our athletes, and so we have contact information for our parents. So we can send out blasts of information in that way to all of our parents and our athletes through Final Form. So we share this stuff often with them. And then one more slide here just on retention. I know we've talked about this a lot, but things that we are doing to keep our athletes here, to make them excited about Pike, to be Pike proud. Sports and Literacy Fair, that's every year. Our coaches come to that. Mr. Anderson talked about the open house that's coming up in November. We'll have kids and coaches there. 8th grade night, same thing. Anytime we're going to have community in our building or kids in our building, we want our coaches to be there. We want to be there. We want to be showing off what we've got. We've got an athletic council that shows up to all these events. They'll give tours, answer questions of kids. We always like to put the kids in front of our high school athletes in front of the younger kids because that's cooler. They're way cooler than we are. And they want to be with them and experiencing time with them, going through the schools, seeing the facilities. That's a big one. This past year we had some athletes that qualified for the state finals in track and field, and it was on the same day as our commencement. Not a ton we can do about that, but we did a ton about it. It was awesome. Dr. Young, Mr. Wally created an extra graduation ceremony. So we had a ceremony just for these athletes the night before or 2 nights before their actual graduation. It was really awesome. They came, their families came. Really, really cool thing. Just something special that we're doing, showing them that we support them, we love them. We are all over X website marketing. Actually, our new administrative assistant has been working with us for a couple of years. Marketing, she posts all the things, the game day things, photos, scores, all of that's out there. Just recently, we did our first ever football, soccer, and tennis all going on the same night. So we offered one ticket for any student to come, and one ticket would get you into any event. Plus, they got it was a hot dog or chicken sandwich and chips and a soda. But really cool, just something that we're getting started. This was the idea of the athletic council, things like that to make kids want to be here and make the students who aren't athletes just want to come and support us. Theme nights, we do this all the time. Middle school recognition nights, every single sport has a night where we recognize our middle schoolers. They come free. We do a shout out. The coaches kind of do that. And some coaches, volleyball always throws candy at them. It's whatever the coach wants that to be. Youth nights, similar thing. And then this, Mr. Paddock talked about this. Sports Appreciation Banquet is something we would really like to do. We want to make it big and awesome, and that's K-12, so that kids can see. I mean, we want to praise them. We want to celebrate them every opportunity that we get. So just a few things that we're trying to do to keep them here. Okay. We're ready? Coach evaluation process. What? I can't remember who's.
So another item that we were asked to talk about, it's one that I'm actually pretty proud of. Kendra and I have been working on it, actually with Dr. Young back when he was the assistant superintendent. When I first started, it was a page and a half front and back. Okay, and what we found out is the coaches weren't getting the message of what our expectations are. So you guys are going to see here the kind of conversations we have with our coaches throughout the year. This is how it was written again in the handbook, as far as how often they should be. So it's here for all paid athletic personnel for the purpose of improving services to students, retaining and continuing services for the next season, providing documentation, determining compensation increase or termination. Actually, we don't get to do this part, but looks cool in there. Evaluations to be conducted. The athletic director is evaluated by Mr. Wally, our principal, every year. The head coach will be evaluated by the school-based athletic director and reviewed by the principal. In my 12 years, I have never given an evaluation to a head coach that the principal did not know about. As we talked about in the beginning, right? The principal is in charge of all things athletics, all things school. We are the designee that he puts in charge of facilitating those things. Right? Kendra and I like to talk about, we like creating a great experience. We also are providing healthy boundaries for students. He talked about coaches being mean, right? We've got to protect our athletes in all areas. And so a lot of what we do on a daily basis is compliance, protecting the community, protecting the kids, and protecting our coaches, okay? And we'll get into some of that later, but all that lives in our documentation to come. Assistant coaches are evaluated by the head coach. There is not a head coach that will give an evaluation to an assistant coach without talking to us first. If we have some concerns, we will let the coach know. After we sit down and go through our evaluation with them, they will then give them to the assistant coaches. This goes into at one point we had an assistant athletic director, event manager. We do not have any of those. And athletic secretaries will be evaluated by the athletic directors.
So what I'm understanding is that the head coach who evaluates the assistant coach, right?
Correct.
But you all see the evaluation prior to them giving it.
Correct. You'll see that.
And that stems back, going back to, if you have a mean coach being evaluated unfairly, then the ADs can be involved, intervene prior to.
Yeah, I think we had a situation where we had a coach that we were like, nah, this is not a good situation. And the head coach felt otherwise. And so, right, all these processes are put in place because of something that's what I'm learning and appreciating most about tonight is, right, we're aligning ourselves. There's some gaps. Right, understanding your expectations, understanding what we do. So I do appreciate it. Again, what we try to build is a structure and alignment for our head coaches. There is no question what it is we expect them to do. Okay, we have the summer coaches in service. I'm just going to just click on it. It's going to bring up this wonderful athletic framework. We can send this to you later. We won't go through it piece by piece. This was actually put in place by Dr. Jones back in the Dr. Jones and Dr. Young when I first started, and it basically this is where we live. This is how the district should look when it comes to athletics. So we have our coaches in service, and the first thing we talk about every year is that framework. Next up is the 25-26 Head Coaches Manual. This is 106 pages. It might even actually be longer than that, but that is something that all our coaches are given and they sign off on. A lot of the information you're receiving tonight came right off of there, okay? And again, we're trying to make it repetitive and add value to the process. My favorite piece of it is you're going to see it's the same pieces showing up in each evaluation. All right, Kendra, if you pull up the head coach's preseason meeting, right? We're getting ready to start basketball season. We will sit down with our girls basketball coach, our boys basketball coach, our girls wrestling coach, our boys wrestling coach, our swim coach, and we will go through this document front and back. It'll take us an hour to an hour and a half. Okay? Are your athletes eligible? We have a little sheet for them. In order for an athlete to participate, right, they've got to pass 5 classes, they got to have a 2.0, there's a lot of things that are in place. We got to find out if they need to have a transfer on file. If so, we get into the IHSA and we process all that. Okay, this lays out more than that. Everything from how many practices they have to have before they can start practicing, how many practices they have to have if they miss practice, right? Again, the compliance piece of things that could really cost the district a lot of money if we're in if we're negligent. I mean, that's
And also gonna hurt the kids. I was in a meeting with superintendents this past week. There's a Marion County School District that has to forfeit every single one of the football games, and they won the first 3. So the checklist that you guys have is one way to be helpful.
correct. How do we stay out of the news, and how do we? No joke. You can call any head coach in here. I look at them all the time, and I say, "Do you love your family?" Because if you're not following these core fundamentals, you could end up in this place where you're not around your family. We've read about it, we've heard about it. I mean, we go to conferences every year, and they go through all the litigation and lawsuits that have been out there with high school athletics. It is scary. It makes it very difficult what we do because we're trying to support our coaches in every way, but they don't know everything. And they've got great grand ideas, but it doesn't always fall within the confines of what we've been allowed to do, whether that's our district policy, whether that's IHSAA, and then the other piece that always falls into negligence and expectations. That's, I think, for me, one of the most difficult things about being an athletic director is understanding what we do. For our coaches, this is where we lay it out for them. So we go in, final forms, compliance roster. We contracted with Final Forms. This is where all of our physicals live. This is where our handbooks live. This is where our parents have to get on and sign their life away to allow their students to participate. If this ain't done, they can't participate. We explain to the coaches the importance of it. They've got to be green in the system. Okay, with that, right, there's always difficulties. We're working on multiple platforms. We've got Final Forms compliance roster. We've got our Skyward roster, which is where we pull grades, where we check attendance. We send out attendance reports every day to the coaches. Students have to be in class at least 4 periods in order to participate. Grade roster, we talked about attendance roster. Then we go through, we schedule theme nights. All right, boys basketball, girls basketball, when's our pink out? Okay, we're doing that in this meeting. We go through special event nights, senior night, youth night, middle school tournaments, picture day. We want them, right, this is 2-3 weeks before the season starts. We want them to go in and coach. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things they've got to wrap their head around. Post, where everything's being done, here's a huge one. Safety training. We have to talk to our coaches. What do you do in case of a fire, right? What do you do in case, where are you? We talk about active shooters. You know, we've had some situations. Where do you go? What if you're here? What if you're there? What if your cross-country runners are running around? These are conversations they've got to have with us, and we've got to mentally prepare them because, right, if something goes down and we get ourselves in a situation, you guys have probably seen it way more than I have, and I hope you guys keep protecting us from all that stuff, but, right? Who knew about it? Who was negligent? It works its way down. Did the district know about it? What do you have in place? Did the high school know about it? What do you have in place? Did the athletic department know about it? What do you have in place? The coaches. So these are all things that we've got to go through. We talk about tornadoes. The 2 huge ones that have been, there's been some new laws written, so we've been, finessing that with the coaches and working the emergency action plans. What do you do in case someone has a heart attack? We have to sign off on sheets. Our coaches and the AED piece. There's 3 different areas that they have to go through. I think it's the coaches in service. There is the actual
training.
online training that we do as a district, and then our athletic trainers meet with them at practice, and they've got to tell each student where the AED is, and they got to tell the coaches where the AED is. We got to sign off on that, turn it in. Transportation requests. We then say, hey, here's your schedule. Give us your department times. Our department then goes in, puts them in. We got to make sure we get them there. We then make sure all coaches are meeting the provisions of Rule 7, 1.4, mandatory coach accreditation. The IHSA requires accreditations, right? And that accreditation is everything from concussion to
Heat illness.
heat illness. So they've got it. Not only do they have the test we give them, they've got
Suicide prevention.
suicide prevention. The
Football
IHSA has to take. Okay, then we go into the whole, who are your coaches? Give us your list. We should know by now. If we don't, there's a problem. Have they gone through a background check? Have they done the coaching compliance? And what's the coaching stipend? Okay, so, right, you guys all voted on that for us. We have to split that out, send it over to the district. They disperse all that for us. Ensure all head coaches have fulfilled their mandatory online rules. They got to get online before every year and go through a test on what are the rule changes. They haven't even started practicing yet. Then we go through and we review the sportsmanship program. We provide appropriate access to resources. If you don't know, the IHSA gives the school a sportsmanship score. We start out at 100 every year, and from there you can earn up to 5 exemplary one-pointers. And then if you have a student that gets ejected, it's minus 5. You have a parent that gets ejected, it's minus 5. You have an administrator that gets ejected, it's minus 20. So there's a lot of things that we navigate. Those reports come to us. It's silly because they will report a yellow card in soccer, which is no different than an intentional foul in basketball. But we got to call the students in. So again, all the different things we have to make sure they're aware of that they got to do besides just coaching X's and O's. Yes, sir.
So is this where, and maybe it's your rule book, maybe no, might be your rule book, where like, for example, your two-a-days and all that, is that in there, or your rule book, like your practices? For example, we had a situation probably about several years ago in the Collins situation, and he had that, that triggered my thought when he had that heart attack that he, several, was that in the rule book, or would that be there? Because parents had to sign off on that, so.
Oh, yeah, so the heat illness is in final forms.
Okay.
So when they sit down, and they can't step foot on anywhere. They can't step foot in the gym, on the pitch, in the pool, unless they've got their physical on file, which lives in final forms. And on there lives where the parents sign off on the parent handbook, which is almost as long as the coach's handbook. And that's the liability piece that we review every year, send up to you if there's changes, but that's the part that we have to make sure is in place. And going back to that student, that's an example I use every year with my coaches. What if that student didn't have a physical on file?
Yeah.
You would be negligent, and you would be responsible for a student that passed. And you would have to go home and face your family. And it sounds deep, but I want them to know it is deep. Nobody wants to live that. And I don't think the coach would have been, malicious at that point. But if you're not paying attention to details, you're going to put everybody in a bind. Because, all right, he's going to get in trouble. Now, athletic department, what do you do? How do you support him? Oh, this is what we had in place. But again, that's the piece you're talking about. Yeah. We go through, discuss postseason awards process. All right, at the end of the year, you have to make sure you're a part of these organizations if you're going to nominate kids for all county, all conference.
All state.
ICCA, TC, yes. Each sport has their own associations. We go through that. We ask, do you have any athletes with upcoming milestones, coaches or players? You have someone who's about to hit 1,000 points, we got to know. We got to know which week it's going to be. We got to be prepared to paint a ball. We got to know if we're going to be home or away. We got to tell everybody who wants to be there. So we have that conversation. I highlight it because we've had some situations where coaches are like, nah, we good. And then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, we're about to break a record. Okay, and that right, brings some other stuff. Online comp tickets. We ask them to provide lists, right? They want to get everybody into the games for free. Athletic trainers. We want them to know where the trainers are, what time, how to communicate with them. Impact testing is something we're no longer doing, but they're so used to asking that question, we just have it up there. We talk to them about hot reporting scores, date of mandatory parent meeting. We ask them ECA account status and fundraising. Where are you at? How much money do you have in your account? Are you good for the year? How are you going to feed the students? Things that they're responsible for that the athletic department doesn't. I promise you, in my 12 years, have we had to order some extra stuff last minute? Yes. Our athletes have never gone in and needed anything. Have they wanted something different? Yes. And I love our coaches for that. For instance, shooting guns. They want more shooting guns. I would love to give them as many shooting guns as they want, but they're about 15 grand a piece. If I get them a shooting gun, guess what? I got to buy football, a blocking sled. I buy them a blocking sled, guess what? I got to buy baseball, a pitching machine. It doesn't stop with just one thing because, right, people start talking to us about Title IX. Dave, Title IX. You gave baseball this. Why didn't wrestling get this? I'm going to a board member. So when we purchase, I tell you, we purchase to the dollar. I know what you're going through. I sit there and I think, I don't want to be a board member ever. I'm an AD, right? So yes, again, mandatory parent meeting. We ask them, core course GPA. We just told you about core course GPA. Have you talked to your students about it? Are they signed up? If not, take a practice off and do it. Supervision, practice. Again, when is practice over? Do you need late bus passes? What color are they? Competition day, where are they supposed to go if they don't play till 7? All the things that Mr. Wally wants to know about when he's like, we've got some volleyball kids walking around, where are they supposed to be? Let me call coach, they're supposed to be in this room. And we know how students are. We can chase them all we want, but they're going to find their way to be students. Competition day, the big one. How are we gonna support a football game? Who's doing the clock? Who's doing the music? What do you want to look like? All those things. We want to give the coaches anything they want within reason. If I could give them anything, it's kind of like my kids. I would give them everything and anything. But can we do that? No. Then we get into the safety essential equipment inventory miscellaneous. I ask the coaches, where are we at with equipment? You'll see when we do the end of season, I ask for your needs, wants, and wish lists. They bring it to me. And I said, okay, I got your needs. I don't know about this one, but if you wait till next year, I think there's a project's coming and we can fit it into there. That's how we end up getting things. Okay? AD to meet with team. We want to meet with the team, talk about our expectations, congratulate them on the year. Team expectations, parent square. This is new in the last year. They're allowed to use 2 forms of communication, really 3. Email, parent square, and file forms. And there's some learning gaps as we're finding, right? You have 8th graders coming in, and the coach has been working on this parent square. I think we've been working with Ms. Dorsey over here, and I think we got it figured out. But that was new to us. And so how do we continue to keep everybody looped in? We ask our coaches to do Twitter. It's not an expectation, but we know that's where all the students go and where we get a lot of our information. Again, they're required to do a BSN spirit wear shop. What kind of music they want, all that's in there. We do a facility walkthrough. What's safe, what's not, where do we need to put in work orders? Go to the order. It's a little quote I have in there from Mr. Inman. I can't read it. It's too. This was his anchor when it came to those things. We just want to make sure they're supervised, make sure their sportsmanship and grades are where they're supposed to be. Right? He's like, okay, that's bare minimum. Let's go. We ask him, go to the order. What do you need from me? What do you need from us? Are you ready? Let's go. We clap. We never had to do this before. We're at a point now where I am signing off with coaches. Did we have this conversation? Yeah, we did. Because we've had coaches. Oh, we didn't have that conversation, Mr. Paddock. I've had it with every coach but you. No, here, sign. And you file. So that's the preseason. That's an hour and a half, depending on the sport.
Or the, how new the coaches.
How new the coaches. The newest
Can
coaches
sit
might take
forever
2 or
with
3.
The new coach.
It's
yeah.
not, it's
But
again,
it's a lot.
we put this in place to support them. There is not a coach that can go out there and say, man, I didn't know. You can't, because guess what? Now you're going to go through your preseason. Now you're going to go through your season. We'll have our conversations. Coaches are different animals in season than they are out of season. That's all there is to it. We respect that, so we try to stay away until we need to talk to them, support them. Champ, if you'll go to the self-evaluation. This is something I love. We give coaches, I love this. We give coaches a self-evaluation. This self-evaluation is their evaluation. They sit down and evaluate themselves. What I like about it is I walk in the door, and if I've got something I want to talk to Coach X about, and he marked himself as exceptional, and I think he's unsatisfactory, I'm going to have to put a little more intention into that question. If he marks himself as unsatisfactory, and I think he's satisfactory, I've got to pump that coach up a little bit. There's no doubt. This is my favorite tool that we use. And if you read through this, able to use Final Form Skyward in order to check compliance. This lives in the preseason sheet. I call it, Mr. Wally laughed at me when I first met him. I don't call it evaluation, we call it reflection of direction. Let's reflect where we're going, how we're getting there. Okay? There's a whole second page to it. We ask them program numbers by grade. How many 9th graders you got? How many 10th graders you got? How many 11th graders you got? How many 12th graders you got? We want to know that going into the evaluation. They fill that out, they give it back to us. Okay, they got 2 to 3 weeks after their season to give us this. Let's see.
Really important.
Oh, I'm missing a lot of important stuff. I'm getting ahead of myself. We ask them what they think their program strengths are. We ask them program challenges and opportunities. What is holding you back, coach, from being the best you can be? What is your area of focus? This is their self-evaluation. They're giving that to us. So we're prepared to evaluate and support them when they come in. Do you have your articulation plan? Right? I always use volleyball as an example. If you want someone jump serving by 8th grade, is that happening in our district, yes or no? No? Why not? Who do we need to teach? How do we get there? Baseball, you want them throwing a changeup or a curve by 7th grade. Is that happening? No, why not? How do we get there? This is a living document. Our coaches go through that. What do we need to do differently? We talked about K through 12. If your son or daughter was growing up in our district, where's the gap? Because the truth is there's gap with a lot of different sports we have. Softball, baseball are two to come to mind right away. Okay, and we can make excuses, right? Costs a lot of money to buy a bat and travel all over the world to play baseball. That's the truth. But we're not going to accept that. What do we got to do? Do you have to have more clinics? Our baseball coach started having coaching clinics for coaches. Here, go teach them this. These are the conversations we have. Down here is an example of what we ask them for before we even start to evaluate them. Program moving forward, ECA printout. Again, how much money you got? Where are you at? What do you need? What are you saving up for? Same question we got. What are you saving up for? Right? We had a couple coaches, I want 10 grand in the bank. For what? Program, here we go. Program needs, wants, wish list. I want a 5-year plan. I want to know how to support you. What is going to make your team better? And again, I want a 7-man blocking sled. I can't provide a 7-man blocking sled if I'm not prepared to have a shooting gun for basketball. Because what happens? They start pointing fingers, right? Assistant coaches evaluations, we give them all that.
1 second.
Yeah.
2 questions with that.
Yeah.
So, you two split the teams up evenly, or?
No.
So how many of those do you do?
We do them all.
You do them all together?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yes, 100%.
And so these self-evaluations, you know, you compare those. You say that you compare those with your evaluations, and you kind of see, like you said, you know, coach may find themselves, you know, lacking in one area, but you think otherwise, so you collaborate, and this is all documented within these notes and stuff like that. Okay. Then also, I said, what is your 5-year plan? That seems like that's on every
I'm sorry,
evaluation.
the 5-year wish list. I wrote plan, you're right. But yes, the articulation plan is kind of their 5-year plan. This probably should say, but you can, yeah, 10.
Okay, because I'm thinking, because to me, it almost sounds like each coach is guaranteed 5 years. You know, what's
That
your
is not the
5-year
case,
plan?
correct.
Okay.
We don't want to assume nothing either.
Okay, so you clear, okay.
Yeah, we do not have a timetable. We've actually had some great
So
conversations.
you don't have the 5-year plan then, that's not.
So the 5-year plan piece is the needs, wants, and wish list.
In your perfect world.
Like in a perfect world, if you want a dome, I gotta have 5 years to plan
Okay.
for it. That's what that's
But you're not understanding that they
100%.
get 5 years.
correct. And you'll see where that lives in our actual evaluation. So yeah, the 5-year
But I
plan.
would say, but it is important, in case you're here
Oh yeah.
for 5 years, we want you to be thinking about what the needs are. But yeah,
100%.
no one should be promised that they're gonna have,
No.
yeah.
Yeah. Again, so there's that piece of it. We can show them real quick the assistant coaches evaluation. This is what the coaches do. It's a lot more brief, but this is the coach. I want to know who the coach is, loyalty to the head program, loyalty to the head coaching system, care of equipment, knowledge of sport, teaching ability to motivate, all those things. Okay, they will do that, and they've got 3 successful, needs improvement, unsatisfactory. They'll just give that to us when they turn everything in. We'll review that, and if okay, wait a second, we are struggling a little bit. And again, we don't ever go into an evaluation without sitting down. I mean, Mr. Wally is fully aware of all these things when we come through, because his interaction with an assistant coach might be different than mine.
Do you guys help head coaches with the evaluation process? Because everyone that's a head coach doesn't mean that they can evaluate. So do you guys help?
Yes.
And we
maybe-
challenge them too.
What does that sound like? What does that look like?
So I have coaches that come in and just give everybody all success. This coach is perfect. And I'm like, whoa. We actually have a spot on our head coaches evaluation where we evaluate them evaluating their coaches. At that point, I will say to a coach, you're telling me that coach could take your job? I mean, my biggest strength and my biggest weakness is I'm never going to be good enough. That's what athletics did for me. There's always room for improvement. I can always get better, and I'm learning to be more kind to myself. but that's kind of our thought process. If all your coaches are top notch, what is going on here? Because we're not getting top notch, and our coaches are getting better at it. Do we spend a ton of time on it? No. But we spend enough that they understand, hey, you need to have some better coaching sessions with your coach. We got some coaches that take it to heart and do it really well, and we have some that'll kind of go through the motions, and we know who that is. And we pull up old evaluations when we move forward.
We have some that may ask, like, during the season,
Correct.
if there's something going on with an assistant coach, or just ask for advice on, what's going on with the head coach, assistant coach dynamic, which is pretty great. It's always an open door. They may ask us about that, and we can coach them on that in that way.
Who's the old Jets coach? Herman. What's his Herman? I can't remember his name. Anyways, he has a quote, Herm Edwards. He says there's two types of coaches. There's coaches that are committed, and there's coaches that are interested. I tell them we don't want coaches that are interested. We want coaches that are committed, meaning they're doing whatever it takes to get better in their profession. Right? They're reading books. They're asking questions. They're getting around people. We don't want someone who just wants to show up on Friday and throw a headset on, or sit next to, a championship basketball team, or show up just on wrestling. We don't want that. We're investing in kids, and that is very near and dear to us. But that's the piece of it, right? And again, it depends on where we're at with the coach. We might have something else that's a lot more important in that moment.
It sounds like this process in place, to me, I get the perception that nothing can really get past you guys. You got your finger on the pulse of the coaching culture, the sports culture with a process like this when it comes to the evaluation.
I felt confident in it. I wouldn't say
I
nothing.
won't say nothing.
I wouldn't say nothing.
Yeah,
Because the
That
coach
is
say
the hope.
nothing, because I think part of that process has been developed over the years because stuff has gotten by. So I think it's detailed, but I think it's also fluid, where we can also adjust that as needed.
But trends
Yeah.
trends are things that have have gone by. So you can catch a trend. You can nail it with
We
this
can
process here.
Sometimes though it may not be a trend, but it's a big enough deal that we never want to happen again.
That's what I'm talking
Yes,
about. Yeah.
and a lot of the stuff that you've seen has come through just, hey, we gotta do better.
And we've got a lot of set of eyes between everyone here on these evaluation process.
Yep, no, and wholehearted. And again, we only get to make a recommendation. I have never fired a coach, let a coach go without the powers of be knowing. We make a recommendation. You'll see where that's at and where that lives. I can tell you in 12 years, there are 2 coaches that we have parted ways with that I can remember off the top of my head. I was thinking about that all day today. Like, there's only 2 coaches in 12 years. We've had a lot leave because they knew what was coming. Like, when you sit down with us on that day, you know where we stand. And it's not we, it's we, right? And we get the information that is shared with the group, and we keep our eyes open for it, right? Coaches are competitive people, right? And they are looking, they are walking that line of everything, right? How can I get the advantage in my sport? There's not a coach that doesn't. We are here to protect, again, the student athletes from those adults that are not in the right frame of mind. We're here to protect the community for coaches that, A, just don't know or don't care. Like what we do on a daily basis, everyone, athletic directors, I want to be one. Day-to-day is a grind with compliance. And we're great with it because we understand the impact the kids have. And there's nothing better than holding a coach accountable. Because I can't share with anybody how I hold a coach accountable. I'll get in trouble. But guess what those coaches can do? They can say whatever they want to whomever they want. Head coach's evaluation. So this is the final product, right? Fun fact, you two have both been a part of a coaching hire. All of this lives in our documentation as far as how you guys vote on a coach that we're going to hire and the questions we ask you to ask. Here's where we go. Strategic leadership, accountability, supervision, operations, total points. Here's where they're at. Okay? We either give them an exceptional, satisfactory, needs improvement, or unsatisfactory. Right? Down here, go ahead and check a little bit further. Down here is where we leave our little notes. We circle our information. Again, all this stuff, I don't want to, if you guys want a copy, we can send you a copy.
Please.
The coach has got a copy. They've been through it, and if you find something, again, this is something that's been developed over time. Like I told you when I started, when I was an assistant AD, it was a page and a half. I was like, what are we? what are our coaches learning through this? And so this is where this
If
developed.
I can interrupt you for just a second, Mr. Anderson, because you asked this earlier. What we do is we each take a copy, prior to us meeting with the coach, we each take a copy and kind of fill it out on our own first. Just like, here's what Kendra, here's what I'm thinking, here's what Dave's thinking, and then we set up a time and then we meet together to go through our thoughts. And this is once we have the self-eval in hand as well from the coach. We go through all of that and then we get ourselves, and typically we're on the same page or very close to it prior to then meeting with the coach. And then we meet with the coach and go through it. Sorry.
No, and there's some, again, areas in here. We'll send this to you. I know it's, I don't want to lose you guys. There's another conversation I know you guys are looking forward to having. Everything from sportsmanship, you know, are they hiring the best coaches? How do they assist the strength and conditioning coach? Communicates effectively. So that's all in there. Oh, I think the evaluates, go down on it. I just want to show because it looks cool. Evaluates members of the staff to improve professional growth and job performance. That answers your question right there. We make sure that they don't just throw a bunch of satisfactories because they're buds. So just go up a little bit more and we'll come back to that please. So down here, we offer the same things that we asked them. You got your articulation plan, what's your goal for next year? Program strength, here's what we think it is. Program challenges and opportunities, this is what we think it is. Equipment, current, this is where we write down. Current program needs, wants, wish list. What do you need, what do you want, what are you hoping for? Because right, sometimes things, we redo a track, all of a sudden, oh, we need new pits. There's some money for the pits, let's get them. But we want to know ahead of time what we're getting. Areas of focus. We tell them, here's what you need to focus. If you want to be who you want to be, this is what's got to be done. And really holding the coaches accountable is simply asking them where they want to go and how they want to get there. And what I end up finding, you want to win a state title? Well, you made these 7 decisions this year. Is that getting you closer or further away? You tell me. They know the answer. Needs from the athletic department. What do you need from us? Are we asking too much of you as far as compliance? What do you need? Do you need us to be around more? Do you need more one-on-ones? What do you need? Tell us. And if you guys know us very well, you know, I'm honest to a fault, and I'm good with those conversations. I just want to get better, and I want you to get better. Okay? Some coaches are good at it, some are not. What I find is maybe 2 weeks down the road, you know, they might have some other things that they want to bring up. But we ask that you have the opportunity. What do you need from us to be better? Period.
Is the win-loss conversation included?
There is never a win-loss conversation.
They do, but they input it in their, we obviously have it, but they input it in their self-evaluation, just the
How does that work?
record.
So they could score highly on a lot of that stuff and say they just had losing season after losing season after losing
Correct.
season. But they score high here.
Correct. And you can win all kinds of games and score low on here.
So how does that not? Yeah. So how does that work? How does that work? How does that?
I that's pretty in depth, but I use the analogy of let's talk about our friend here, Penn State, right? We have a Hall of Fame coach, right, who lets some things slide. Is he a Hall of Fame coach? Yes or no? Right. We are here, education-based athletics. We are here to create an experience for young people to learn about themselves, how to deal with adversity. Mental health coach. We're about to talk about this. We learn more through sport about ourselves than in a lot of different places in our life. And anyone here that's an athlete knows that, right? And so these are the experiences we want. We talked about Isaiah. Love Isaiah. Love Jeff Teague. Does Isaiah need to be coached by Jeff Teague to get a D1 scholarship? Yes or no? I'm not going to answer that, but I'm going to tell you his experience needs to be the same as the kid who's barely making the team. And so for us, when we talk about education-based athletics, how are we supporting the whole child? How are we supporting the whole program? Because for some of them, it is the greatest moment of their life, playing high school ball. I don't care what sport it is. Let's talk about softball. Okay? Win-loss record. Does that mean that coach is a bad coach, or he's up against a different challenge than a basketball team in a basketball community?
The latter.
So
Softball.
those are the things we evaluate. And those are the things we evaluate. And so there's a lot that goes into that. And we talk about X's and O's. Yes, we all want to win. We understand what that brings the community, but we don't want to win doing things the wrong way.
Well, but the real, how do I say this? One of the real realities outside of our created system of evaluating is one of the real realities with retaining talent or losing talent. If our community starts saying, I'm not sending my kid there and they ain't won a game in 30 years, now we're going to have to do something about that. Although they may pass all of and look good on paper, but somewhere, when we sitting in here and saying, y'all ain't getting that talent because y'all can't win no game, how do you take that into consideration?
Through our honest conversations, we've had really good coaches. We've had coaches that have scored high, understand where we're at, where we're going, and left on their own because they knew it was coming with the conversations we've had. Right? I mean, that's the reality. I mean, coaches are competitive people. They understand. And they understand the pressure for basketball and football is a little bit different than the pressure for swim. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I understand that.
Well, it's not a matter, Dave, if you agree with it or not. I think it's a matter of culture. Culture is culture.
Yeah.
Culture likes to win.
Yeah.
And when they ain't winning, you going across town and somebody else is winning.
And we're not accepting that.
Winning, people are attracted to winning.
Yes.
Right? Absolutely. But I think the other side, of the coin, there's a school district next to ours and close to ours. And very successful, I won't name the sport, state champion. And then they're in the news because of an altercation with a coach and a player. And I believe that there's a lot of stuff there in the background too, So my hope and desire is that coaches that are doing these types of things at a high level will yield results, but also we can have that conversation even though it's not part of the evaluation too. But what I don't also want though is a coach who has won but could potentially embarrass the school district to have a fallback on, based on my wins and my score, you can't fire me, right? Or you can't justifiably fire me too. So I think, to your point, whether it's in the evaluation or not, having those conversations, I think can help us in either way.
It's tough. I mean, I understand what you guys go through with those conversations. I mean, we've been doing this 12 years. I go through these conversations all the time, and people question me all the time. But I can leave here and know that I have done what's best for students and our coaches. And I can tell which coaches are moving in the right direction or not. And we can have a conversation with a coach. Hey, coach, you're doing all these great things, but we ain't going in the right direction, man. We ain't going in the right direction. Here's where we're at. And we've had conversations about how we've never promised anybody any years. But like, what's a reasonable amount of time, to use your words, to get a program moving in that direction? I've been here 12 years. There's very few sports that I can think of where we've had coaches in position in certain sports for too long. I can't. That didn't have success in those areas. And again, we are not oblivious. We want to win too. I shouldn't have said we don't talk X's or wins and losses. I guess for us, in giving the students the best opportunity, this is what's important, right? That's the foundation. The other piece of it, we understand the pressure that comes with it from everywhere in the community, because we all have, I've become a little more, Dave in this meeting, because I got a lot of passion when it comes. I've been here 12 years. That's longer than any school I've ever been in my life. This is my home. I love this place. I've got kids that are in college that have left that I can call right now and talk about their experiences. And that's what we love about what we do. We're not blind to all the other things, but we're also in a position where we can't share everything either. Well, that's why I like these conversations.
I just want to say, and then I'm done on this comment. But I do remember that we were a part of the process, and I do remember that I think Mr. Anderson was with one group in the interview. I was with another group in the interview, but I do remember that the parents that were was in my room in my group asked a question about the importance of winning and losing. And the interviewer said, well, I don't, he said winning, I'm not too, now I sat there and I understood where he was going, but he said, I'm not too keen on winning and losing as long as I can turn a program around and make men out of these young fellas and help them. So that warmed me on that, but them women was about to jump on him and say, oh no, we care about winning and losing.
Well, and
I had to jump in and help.
No, and I love that. And so one of the reasons we have 30 people, I mean, no offense to anybody else in the room, my interview did not include 30 people.
Yeah,
Right? We had 30 people picking said coach.
yeah.
And right, everyone has a different ideal and a different agenda. Let's be honest, than what a coach wants and thinks, what a teacher wants. What does a teacher want from said player? What does a parent want from said player? What does mom want? What does dad want? What does a board member want? We get that. That's why we put 30 people in there, because it's an evaluation. It's got there's 15 questions on there. Everyone evaluates them on that. We put it together, and a decision is made based on that. All right, this is and if we had to, we almost had to go back and look again, but. There's a reason those processes are in place, and I would put this process and that process up against any other school. That's pretty in depth. I mean, that's a lot. And sometimes I'm like, coach, okay, it's end of season. He's like, man, it's been, she's like, it's been a long season. Now you want me to go through 2 weeks of self-evaluation? Yes, and then take a month off. Because guess what? Their limited contact practice is starting again. They've changed the rules of high school athletics over and over and over and over. Our coaches coach 365. And the difference at the high school level is they feed them, they supervise them, they're social workers. Like we provide a different service than youth sports.
One last ask,
Yeah.
Mr. Paddock, if you could just, the evaluation process, if any board member would like that the blank ones emailed to them, feel
might
free to
have
speak up, or you can send it to me, and then if you would like one, just reach out to me and I can forward it to you. But if we could, just the evaluation processes for the assistant head coach, the three that chat up there, if you can just email that to me and I can get that over.
And I might have hard copies. I think they're in the blue in the middle. Then I can give you at the end.
The digital will work better for me.
Okay, digital?
Work better for me. Then also, I just want to add, because I do want to be considerate of time. I know we got two, the last two are actually very important, so I'll let you guys get started on that. If we do have questions, because everybody's been here since about 7 o'clock this morning or earlier, so I know they got family to get to. Let's try to, as they talk about this, we'll take a few questions. Anything else, let's do emails over that way. We can just be considerate of people's families and time. All right.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Coach of the year. Could you put a nice little quote in there from Mike Singletary, one of my favorites from my favorite team. I'll let you read that. But the selection committee, before I even got here, this was in place. It is the ADs and the principal. Those are the three people that made that decision. Again, the process existed informally for years. This is how it was taught to me. I didn't make it up. It's not written anywhere. This is how it was taught to me. I think it's important to understand Coach of the Year is a recognition, not an evaluation. It is a recognition, not an evaluation. It's no different than, you see all the time, 2018 still breaks my heart David Bell didn't win Mr. Football. I don't know how. That guy was killing everybody as a sophomore. He didn't win Mr. Football. How? I don't know. Right? But it's a recognition. So we had a lot of coaches up for consideration. It wasn't easy. That's a good problem. That's a good problem. We've got coaches that, got some room for growth, but every coach is up for consideration, right? And again, the big piece, it's a recognition, not an evaluation. I put this on here because I think it's important. Evaluations are HR processes handled through principals and are confidential by law. Okay? Again, I understand all the targets are on us, but there's considerations in place. Here are the things we talk about. Success and progression of a program. Okay? Year one, that might look different than someone who's been here 7 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, but We talk about what that succession and success looks like. When you came in, where were you at? Where are you at right now? We'll talk about it down here, the team culture and team climate. Where's that moving? That climate and culture is not what you see on the field all the time. It's what happens in the hallways. Information we get from teachers, parents, communications. You guys get a ton of emails and whispers in the ear. We get a ton of emails and whispers in the ear too. Sportsmanship. We talked about the IHSAA. Okay? They grade us on that. There's reports. Coaches get reported on all kinds of stuff. Some of it we agree with, some of it we don't. We navigate it, but that's part of it. Okay? We also discuss the sportsmanship of the athletes. What's tolerated and what's not. We have some coaches that'll let some things go by, and we're like, ugh. We got some coaches that are like, you're sitting, and we're like, why? Right? That's part of it. Like, where are you at with sportsmanship? I think this is a big one. Standing in the formal evaluation. And I didn't get to it because I got sidetracked. Can you jump to it real quick?
Yeah. That's something about.
So right here, these are the 3 recommendations we make to Mr. Wally. Right, Mr. Wally then takes that up. There has not been a coach that has ever been put in any situation that didn't include them in our decision. You have 1 of 3 areas to go. Full recommendation to continue with head coaching assignment in this sport. Provisional recommendation for continued head coaching in this sport. Areas of concern are, and unacceptability noted in the evaluation and will need to be addressed. The last but not least, not recommended to return as head coach. I've never had to mark that. Never. This process weeds the people out. Yep. Going back to this. Standing in the formal evaluation. One more page.
That's what we
Oh, sorry. Just a bigger, my bad. We talked about this. Coach of the year can only be considered if they're in full. If a coach is provisional, they will not be considered for coach of the year. Strategic leadership and accountability. We talk about those things. Supervision and operations. Talk about those things. Alignment with the IHSAA, right? We catch you trying to poach kids from other schools and causing a mess. I mean, you could potentially, I think it would take a long way to get there, but you could potentially get us barred from the IHSAA. We got to self-report these kind of things. They will put you in their little paper that says Pike is on probation. They do it again, they will miss the tournament. I don't want to explain that to the community. Development of athletes and assistant coaches. That's huge. Are they doing those things that we ask to make the program better? Team culture and climate. Right, a lot comes with that one. Community engagement. We sit down, the 3 of us. We have that discussion. We start with who do we think can be up there? Who's eligible to be up there? And then the conversation takes place. An hour worth of the conversation. Really what ends up happening is the conversation starts 2 weeks before the actual meeting. One here, one there, one here. Oh, what about this? It was pretty unanimous. Again, I've been doing it 12 years. It's never been done any different. It's how it was taught to me. This is the first time I've been asked to explain it. I can understand, all that goes into that. But that is not an evaluation of a coach. That is a recognition, and these are the items that are in place for it.
I'm glad you said that you understand, and I'll let you go. I'm glad you said that you understand that because, from our perspective, being the conduits from the community over to the district, we're going to hear a lot of stuff. Some of the things that we don't even speak on, but we just know. So when we come to a controversial, what could appear to be a controversial choice like this, and this is why I'm glad you understand the process. Please be ready to explain it.
100%.
So when the board member, when we catch fire or when we get pulled over at the salon, the gas station, the barbershop, and because we don't know all the ins and outs, because we're of where we're at. But when we need to come in and say, okay, I need to know in detail, how did that work? Be ready to explain that. Yeah. Because then that way, when we have to go outside of the community and we face that, we'll be able to explain it.
No, and I appreciate it. And I don't know I don't know what we're allowed to share and what we're not allowed to share when it comes to those things. But
Well, there's a process, so if a board member needs to know something, there's a process. We know how that process works, and we'll get with Dr. Young, and we want to know every detail from even the ink that was used, the color ink that was used on the evaluation process. That's something that's privy to the board,
And
without hesitation.
yeah, and there's been a lot of coaches that have been in the provisional state. We've
Well,
had
look for
coaches.
that.
Huh?
Look for us coming to, because we got a lot of stuff going on, but look for us to come to see how did that work?
How did that work?
How the process of the choice and how that was all made. Look for us to come to down the line, in the future, how did that work? Can you explain that to us through the right process, through the right channel? I'm not running this in a work session or anything like that, but just expect that to become. Make sense?
Yeah, and again, if it includes HR, that's out of my hands. I would suspect
We'll get
that
whoever we need.
a lot of this
We'll
stuff.
get whoever we
But I
need.
think the key thing is, like Ms. Anderson's sharing, I'm familiar with that. What we can, how we can,
Okay.
maneuver through it to make sure the board has
Got it.
as much
Yeah.
information as
Okay.
they need. Yeah.
I got you.
All right.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, did you have a question?
No,
Okay.
you said we can do it at a different time.
Okay. Okay. No, I think that's it. Oh wait, no, we've got the
Mental health.
Yeah.
athlete behavior, mental health. Coach Jacobs been waiting all night to talk.
And skip through that.
Mr. President and members of the board, Dr. Young, thank you for this. I'm excited about. This is my passion. As you guys know, I know Dr. Young asks me once a month or every other month, when are you going to finish that doctorate? I'm working on it. It's not a sprint. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. That's part. Mental health is part of my work. When I came here, I came here as a former professional athlete, 3-time Hall of Fame, and Olympic medalist. I came here because we want to support our student athletes. And what we've done has given us that opportunity to be able to write that grant. I remember when I was so excited, 2 months into the job, I went to Dr. Young. The grant was $21 million. So excited. And he kind of helped me understand that we will have a better chance going through LEA. And that the $21 million was for the whole entire SAMHSA grant. So we were able to look at how are we going to support our student athletes. I am blessed, we don't have it here, that we have a superintendent and a board that values student athletes' mental health. We are one of the only few schools that have a mental health coach, and we have a good one. And the key thing, he was a former student athlete. He was a student and played collegiately, so he understands when someone is talking to them, I know what to go into, and was also a coach. So one of the things that this has helped us, the next one, is how do we, as a district, and thanks to Dr. Young helping us put this together, this is what every coach, if we hire in a coach, has to go through this, program guidelines. It's part of the interview process as an assistant coach, understanding the expectations that is in there for you to support. One of the things that Dr. Webster Jr. is doing is every week sending out emails to the coaches about what the focus is going to be, this week. And we've been blessed with making sure that those coaches, and we did this during our in-service, I believe, Mr. Anderson, you were there when we went through that and what the expectation and guidelines are for our coaches. Okay, next. Yeah. So I shared about Dr. Webster Jr. and the area and services. This was actually developed before I came here. Dr. Young had done the work with, I'll just blank on his name, at Indiana State that helped create this. So we followed those. This was already being established, when Dr. Young was in charge, to look at the areas that we look at the physical, the spiritual aspect of it. I know this and I'm going to say this publicly, as a black male being an athlete, they tell you to pray about it. I want to pray about it, but at the same time, there are needs that I have. If I'm not eating well, or if I'm not going home, or if I'm sleeping with my friends, how am I going to be able to perform? It's not like a light switch that you just switch on when you show up to class or when you show up to play. And I think someone mentioned earlier, athletics is a gateway for some of our students. It's a place for them to express themselves, and we able to provide that with a sport mental health coach. Not just Mr. Webster, we have other support as well. If you get to, through the work that we've done, IU School of Social Work have received a grant as well too. So they provide us with interns. Ms. Hellman was actually, Dr. Young hired her. She was a teacher here for 9 years, and she's helping with our student athletes. You've seen her, she goes to practices. She's been working with small groups, doing presentation one-on-one as well too. And what they've done is, create an opportunity. If I'm a female athlete and I want to speak with a female person, we provide that opportunity that they can do that. And we also have Miss, I believe she was a former Pike cheerleader. That is all Miss Jones. So she's also supporting with supporting our student athletes with mental health support and also with their families. As you guys know, we receive significant recognition, nationally from American Healthier Schools. Part of the work we do with our student athletes was part of that recognition. Supporting students, we've had the coaches here, that came in and helped us to bring change to mind. Again, that is part of what we've done with supporting our students and families, that struggle with mental health. It is okay not to be okay, and mental health is real.
And this has been really great for our student athletes, and that you can see if you read through the coaching guidelines, they are required to meet they schedule a meeting, a full team meeting with Dr. Webster Jr. and then also the one-on-ones. And I feel like, I don't know if you agree, this year the one-on-ones have really taken off. There have been a lot of those, and I think that the weekly things that he's doing, I just think it's like anything. It's really ramping up.
I mean, as a parent, I can speak to that.
Yeah.
As a, you're superintendent, you've got your kid in school, involved in athletes, involved in athletics. I mean, I got the same issues everyone else had. My son was going through a difficult time because of a relationship that he was having that I thought was just unhealthy. And, it was really through, working with our mental health coach that there were some things that I could see, but because I'm dad, I couldn't seem to, I'm that guy that's making you clean up your room. But to have someone else who, my son respected, to be able to provide some guidance to kind of work through those things and still be able to perform. This is during the season. He was a fall athlete and a spring athlete. So he's only out of season during the wintertime. And you're trying to go and perform, and your head is at a completely different place, right? So I can attest as a parent, not a superintendent, but I also, when we talk to people about, the success of the programs have, we think about just wins across all of our programs. I always say it's not a silver bullet, but it's really everything. And I think that this is a piece, it's powerful. Professional athletes and college athletes have it for a reason. There's a reason, right? So we had the idea, we just didn't have the funding for it. And that's what Project Aware provides.
So when you have a student that's stressed out, or even to go to the coach and says, I just don't want to live anymore mentally. So what is the procedure? Do they go to, do you bring Dr. Webster in to
referral process? You want to talk about that?
Do you want to pull up
Self-referral, the kids.
Is it live on the document?
And it's on Dr. Webster's. If you go to Dr. Webster's page, there's a scan code that is in the locker rooms that they can self-refer. Parents can refer.
Oh, the coach.
So the coach gets it.
Child,
So you contact
parent.
the parents, or do you contact Dr.
Well,
Webster?
to be clear, if it's suicide,
Yeah.
that's a whole different,
Yeah.
and that's an immediate report.
social work. Just
That's
social
an
work.
immediate report to.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
Okay, I'm just saying, so the coaches know that, right? So that's what I'm asking. If
Yes.
they know the protocol, that if a
Absolutely.
student comes to me and says, hey, I just can't do it anymore, and I don't want to be here, my boyfriend broke up with my girlfriend,
Yeah,
they
100%.
immediately should go to.
And that's part of that mandatory meeting, those guidelines that we put in place. Part of that mandatory meeting is an opportunity to go through that whole process. And how do you utilize it?
So you saying Tammy Cole, so are they working out, so this could happen after practice at 8 o'clock at night?
And
And it's happened.
it happened. It's
I
happened.
receive a call, I make a call. the man in charge of the social workers.
9 o'clock at
And
night.
then it funnels
Yeah.
around, right? Because I'm not, yeah.
It was,
but
we've
it's
had it
happened.
post-game in our
Yeah.
office
Right.
at 10:30 at night. It's, yes. We
And I
take
want to
that
make
very
it,
seriously.
when Dr. Young hired me, he said he wanted someone that is 24/7.
Okay.
And I've done it 24/7. I've been at McDonald's at 10:30, texting him to make sure he knows that I'm still alive. That we're waiting to find a student, athlete, okay? And we finally got our police chief, Chief Casper, and we were able to reach that student, and the parent did not know. We were able to provide that support. But throughout that time, I was updating Dr. Young to make sure, hey, we are this place. My job, and I'm passionate about what I do. I'm thankful, to the board and to Dr. Young for creating my position. I love what I do. And I serve that every child matters. And I'm going to finish with this. I know for a fact, as a student, as an athlete that struggled, I also know as someone that was in leadership, as a dean, athletic director, that saw a student lose their lives. That is why I went into this profession.
And I might just add also, as I would anyone else, not only do we have our student athletes to take advantage of the sports mental health, but I also know our teachers take advantage. Cabinet members have students that take advantage. Board members have students that take advantage. So this is, and I'm not just saying it, but this is a major piece. And not only that, I was over at the library just a little while ago, and our sports mental health coach is working with a young guy down at Guy Middle School. He just got put out of the library over here and can't come back. I walk up just look earlier, and he comes up to me, Dr. Webster, they just put me out, showed me this yellow slip. I said, call your sports mental health coach. And I walked on in there. I said, don't call me, call your sports mental health coach. And he's one of the promising young talents that's coming to our district next year. So it's huge.
My favorite part so far is the last couple of weeks, the girls soccer team. I've actually heard them in the hall, like
Oh,
racing to go see
asking.
them, which was kind of neat because, right, my generation growing up, we didn't talk about those kind of things, and our students are now racing to get down there talking about it. So it's been cool.
And plenty of ways to be referred. They can they can sign up themselves, be referred by a parent, be referred by a coach. Our athletic trainers have referred kiddos. And you mentioned a lot of groups of people. I know for a fact our coaches, we've had coaches sit individually with our mental health coach too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to piggyback, but going back to my son, there was we had an associate minister at our church who has a degree in counseling, all those types of things, and I tried to set up an opportunity for him to talk to that. So, and he said, no, I want to talk to our mental health.
It's cool.
That was time for relationship. I was like, okay, cool. As long as you talk to somebody.
That's huge.
That's awesome.
Well, is there any other questions on the stuff that we've gone through tonight? I hope we didn't take up too much of your time. I do want to say thank you. I came in here not knowing what to expect. I've never been a part of one of these. Right? Got a little bit of anxiety, all that good stuff. What I believe to be true is we all want the same thing. We're just trying to understand how to get there together. I believe that. And thank you guys.
But one of the things it does for us, David Champ, thank you so much for the presentation. It helps us to know how to respond and put to bed some of the conversations and the information that we get in the sauna or in the steam. It helps us put some of this to bed on what to do.
No.
So we appreciate you.
No, thank you. And I know we've been 12 years. A lot of times been with you,
Yeah.
so I appreciate that because I know, like you said, what it's like not to know or being able to speak. So I think sometimes we get put in that.
Dan, we let you close out, man. I'm starving.
Thank you very much, Dr. Young, for having your team and coming out and explaining everything to us. Everybody drive safely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Tomorrow, homecoming carnival.